This video contains information that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are a viewer and are triggered or shocked by images and need a warning prior to every clip or story being discussed, then please unsubscribe from my channel immediately. My channel covers the harsh reality of even the worst crimes imaginable and is for adults only. For those of you who fit into this category, take this message as your warning and don't watch any further. Hello there, freaks! Oh, and thanks, Kubi. Oh, yeah. Hey, look at it. It's Colleen Fitzgerald. Not Colleen Fitzpatrick, okay? Not Colleen Fitzpatrick. I don't know where everybody is. Probably watching the videos on Morphew over and over again. Hey, thanks, Barbara Smith. See, my theory was correct, everybody. It's correct.
You do fantastic work, Ray.
This one person came on and said, I don't agree with your politics. I'm unsubscribing. You see? And guess what? That means that they're exactly the people I always talk about, the liberals who will unfriend you merely for disagreeing. I'm not saying that the ones that are here are like that, but they do that all the time. It's strange, you know. It's like, I don't really give a damn what your politics are, you know. I mean, I won't agree with you, probably. Anyways, you know, it's just kind of weird how people want to tell you in the comments, like, why don't you just not watch? Who cares what you're... No, I don't really, yeah, but the thing is, I don't mind people disagreeing. It's just that if you're going to be so fickle, like you don't want to be somebody, you know, like somebody or unsubscribe because they dared to say what they were thinking, you know. I don't know. I'm just gonna say what I want, you know. The hell with it. If it turns out where people don't like it, well, they don't like it. So I've got the at the end of the show we found that one case where the detective was saying that there were 3 others, and I've been looking for those. I'm actually thinking he sort of he wasn't supposed to say that. That just sounds like something absolutely, like he just mentioned it, but I'm still looking around. But I came across others, cases while looking for those, you know, and it's crazy how it kind of just leads you down these little rabbit holes. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, Zozo's always seeing those same comments. What was one of them? Oh yeah, they said I was deplorable. And guess who came up with that? That was Hillary Clinton, who called everybody who didn't agree with her side deplorables. Okay? And it's weird, because I don't think anybody's deplorable who believes that, you know, wants to vote for Biden because they don't like Trump. I think you're a little nuts, but, you know, other than that, you're not deplorable, though, okay? You're just a regular person who believes something different. Hey, did you see that? Right when the show started, it was Chloe sitting next to Blue. Yeah. Well, I guess, you know. I guess if you're one of the ones that was called deplorable, that's cool. Like if we're all, you know, like, yeah, we're deplorable, big deal. You know, but when somebody's actually saying it because they mean it, and then it's like, oh, God. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I've got a case that I was going to... Hey, look at this. This is one of the images from the articles. I was trying to make myself black and white, but it doesn't have the transparency when you do that. But I thought it was a cool... I mean, I love the old... Like, I would frame that picture, put it on the wall, or try to, you know, make it charcoal or something. Those are so amazing, those old newspaper articles. The one they I don't know, the photographers back then were so much better. You know, nothing's... That's a totally non-posed image right there. Yeah. Hey, Rochelle. Yeah, so there was a somebody posted this in Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. I mean on Facebook. Son allegedly dismembers parents because they were cutting off the money. But what's weird is look at his face, right? Like, that's like two different people. So I've done this before when I've seen somebody that's so random like that. Here, watch this. Look at the difference. Like if you were to make him symmetrical, like using his right side or his right side over here and then flipping it, and then you take this side and flip it, he's completely two different people. Look at, watch. So this is what I did. This is using his right side of his face, and he looks, you know, pretty normal. Just has beard and everything. The hair is duplicate, so don't use that. But then I took the other side of his face, and then I flipped it over, and it's like absolutely two different people, right? Isn't that weird? I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy to be that different on one side, right? Okay, anyways, let's see. A Tennessee man set to go on trial for murders and dismemberment of his parents is giving the court permission to impose the death penalty if he's found guilty, despite the prosecution's decision not to seek execution. Joel Michael Guy, Jr., 32, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of abuse of a corpse, and 1 count of felony murder for killing of Joel Michael Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy over Thanksgiving weekend in 2016. Prosecutors say Guy Jr. killed his parents after his other siblings had returned home from the holiday and their parents' home in Knoxville. Prosecutors say he killed them because they planned to cut off financial support. Guy Jr. was unemployed and lived in Baton Rouge. The guys were found Monday after Lisa Guy's employer requested a welfare check when she failed to show up to work. Their body parts scattered throughout the home. Jesus. They estimated that Guy killed the parents on that Friday or Sunday, spending at least one night in the home with his parents' bodies, which showed multiple stab wounds before driving home to Baton Rouge. Man, just body parts all over the place, huh? Yeah, pretty weird. Okay, I don't have any Morphew updates. I could make a 35-minute video on a sentence that he changed, but I'm not going to do it. You know, it's amazing. Every time I do Delphi videos, people go, "Gray, you should go check out this channel," and they mention them, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I've seen them. They're like lunatics. It's incredible. I mean, the stuff they do with images, you know, it's just mind-boggling that people give any of those a second look. Oh man, look at that! Look at that! Look at! 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 That's the whole purpose of the look at emoji that I have. If you don't have those, become a channel member and you can use the emojis that everybody else has. I mean, don't tell me to check out any of that stuff. It actually makes me think less of you when you send me, "Hey, look at this! Look at this one guy." Okay, it really, unless it's like really good, like just reasonable shit. You know, but if it's one of those just image manipulation with crazy music playing, don't have me look at it. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the article that we were looking at the end of the show yesterday. It was actually on Vicki Lynn Harrell. We were checking this one out in Indiana. No, well, let's see that. I don't even know about that, Janet. They don't even have a mole hole. They created a mole hole and then made a mountain out of it. Okay? I mean, there was nothing original or real about any bit of it. Yeah, you know, this is going to be one of those nights where not a lot of people come in. So, might be a shorter night, depending on, you know, what's going on. And it took me, I spent pretty much the whole day putting all this stuff together. And, you know, I'm not talking about Morpheus, so I won't have 500. Authorities here late Monday identified the body of a young woman found near Spencer earlier in the day as that of Vicki Lynn Harrell. This is the one we were talking about right at the end. She would have been 27 years old today. And this is August 1972. Investigators, let me turn this music down a little bit. It's pretty loud. Investigators said they thought the girl might have been strangled and then dumped into the ditch in an isolated area about 3 miles east of Spencer. The nude body was found in a water-filled ditch on a lane off Concord Road, 1 mile north of Indiana 46. I think we actually found this one. Yeah, I remember we actually found it, but I don't know if I made a folder on that one. So hold on a second. Remember, it was on a side of a road on a corner. The nude body was found in a water-filled ditch on a lane off Concord Road. Let's see if we can just find Concord Road, Indiana. Yeah, I think I'd have to be specific, and actually I didn't say. Ooh, looks like it just froze. It's gonna crash. I can tell. Oh, I guess it didn't. Yeah, it was the one. This right here. She was found like right in this area. Let me see what folder I have that in. Yeah, there it is, Vicki Lynn Harrell right there. So she was just found right there on a random road, dumped on the side of the road. And there's no street view there. Authorities said no identification or clothing was found in the area where the body was found. There also was no sign of a struggle. I wonder how they were able to tell so quickly. You know, and then we came up with this other, there was another article. One of the men investigating August 14th slaying of Vicki Lynn Harrell says a painstaking probe of the grisly murder has failed to produce any productive leads. I've never seen a case marked by less sympathy, he said. And this is the one where a writer says, Miss Harrell's killer. Hey, thanks, Michelle Nicholas. Yeah, it's going to be... There's so few people here, it's going to be hard to get up to a regular funds for the, the percentage at the end of the month. Diet Coke. I got a flu shot today, by the way. It hurt this time because they sort of put it like in the muscle, and we're doing it. Just it didn't feel like the ones I've gotten the last couple of years where I felt absolutely nothing. I don't like that feeling. Ugh, when you can feel it kind of going in. Ugh. Makes me woozy. Hello, wonderful freaks. Gray, Blue, and Chloe, smash that like button, she said. Yes, this is the one. We have no idea of the meaning of these letters. Miss Harrell's killer left a strange clue on the dead woman's body. The letter KN were cut into the region of her lower chest and upper abdomen. If the letters were cut in the woman's body from right to left by her killer while she lay prone, the letters would necessarily have to be KN. Well, what do you mean from right to left? I mean, I know what you mean by right to left, but why does it necessarily have to mean that if it's right to left? I guess meaning, let's see, from right to left by her killer while she lay prone, the letters would necessarily, I don't know how you can just claim that. If the killer stood over her and cut the fiendish marks in a vertical pattern, the KN then would represent another symbol. Hey, thank you, Katie. Yeah, I wonder what they mean by another symbol. Do they have one in mind when they say that? And I don't really understand what they're trying. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you can kind of do whatever you want from any angle. Schumacher said at least 30 persons have been cleared. All right, so then we go over to that final article that was in 93. And the interesting parts are down here where it said, there are days when I'm so busy I don't even have time to button my shirt. This is the detective. There's just isn't enough time to go around, he says. Another lawman who has not given up solving the slaying of the young woman is Lieutenant Ralph Shoemaker, commander of the Putnamville State Police Post. Schumacher, or might be Schumacher or Shoemaker. In German, it would be Schumacher. Shoemaker is convinced the pretty dark-haired woman was killed by a transient, someone who didn't know the territory. Shoemaker compares the Harrell homicide with killings in 1969, 1970, and 1971 in Pennsylvania and Maryland. The similarity is startling in that the same method of operation is involved all the victims. It was involved in all the victims came from college towns, and each victim was left with carvings, different initials, but all in the flesh of the abdomen. Now, there's no way in hell those aren't related at that point. Unless somebody heard about one, it's related somehow. Well, but the thing is about that, it's not really along I-70. It says all of the eastern slayings took place in a line parallel to Interstate 70, 10 to 40 miles north or south. So that, that's pretty vague at that point. I mean, you got I-70 and then they're either 10 miles north or 40 miles, 10 to 40 north or 10 to 40 south of I-70. So it's not like they were found on I-70, which I thought it said yesterday. But autopsy's finding revealed the young woman who was reported missing the day before her body was found had been strangled, but the death weapon, the victim's clothing, or any other clues which might lead authorities to her slayer are still missing. Okay, so then I thought, well, shit, let me let me look in, try to find some cases in Maryland and Pennsylvania. So I'm still looking around, but these are the ones I came up with today that aren't those, but they're still interesting regardless. So in Pennsylvania, I found June P. Eberlin and Mary Ellen Lenihan. And, you know, here's a map where this one's pretty interesting. It took me a long time. I think I actually found the location. This map's really horrible, though. Let me get to that case on here. Yeah, so when you look at this map, they just kind of vaguely draw the lines. I like it when they do it accurately, but it's kind of close. Like they have this kind of continually curved area right there, but I think it's right here, and they just drew it incorrectly on this other map over here. See, it kind of goes like, it actually kind of goes down and then up around, but they made it just go like that. And so I've got a bunch of images from in there, and like right here, this is where the bodies were found. I'm not even going to, I'll explain the scenario afterward. So here's the guardrail, and then down this bank here. It says the bodies of 2 slain New York area girls were found at this spot along I-70 near the Waterfordsburg exit in Fulton County shortly after 8 a.m. Wednesday. The one girl nude was found just forward of the highway marker. So they're literally telling you exactly. Marker just a short distance inside the guardrail, legs in full view and head extended down the slope. That was the nude girl. The other girl was further down the slope to the right in this picture, and just sort of down below, like 30 feet below. And these are the 2 victims right here. These are the pictures of the 2 girls found slain near Warfordsburg, Fulton County, early Wednesday. This is 1970, so it's in those years that they're talking about. And then here's another image of them searching down a bank. Now in this picture you can see, looks like rock slope down there. I wasn't able to see that because it's so different now, so many trees and everything. Okay, so I'll pull up this article right here. Okay, state police have identified 2 New York college co-eds found slain and thrown into a ditch Wednesday on Interstate 70. So this is Interstate 70, so I was using that as a... But this is on Interstate 70. It's not 10 miles north or within 10 or 40 miles north or south. Late Wednesday, the girls, both 21 years old, were identified as June P. Eberlin of Rego Park, New York, and Mary Ellen Lenihan of Queens. A woman for the State Department of Highway, Otis Shives, discovered the 2 bodies, one nude and one clothed, about 8:30 a.m. Wednesday. Shives told Public Opinion, that's the newspaper, he was walking along the westbound berm of the highway, throwing pieces of stone and tar and other debris over the guardrail, clearing the way for a grading operation on the highway berm. He said first he noticed the legs of one victim lying about 3 feet from the guardrail. She said he thought the legs belonged to a mannequin that had been thrown along the side of the road. The victim was nude with a rope looped around her neck. As he approached the body, he noticed all she wore was stockings. So all she had was stockings on. He glanced further down a 30 to 40 foot embankment and noticed a fully clothed body lying on the rocks near a stream. Shives said that was when he knew they were human. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Shives said, I couldn't believe it. He said the legs of the first body were sticking out toward the railing with the head down and arms stretched up above the head. The other body, Shives said, looked like it had rolled down the grade and was all humped up. Miss Shives appeared uncooperative toward the press, saying she was afraid when the couple was questioned and at their home on Pigeon Cove Road today. I'm not sure what they're saying there. It was first reported that the nude girl had been strangled and the fully clothed victim had her throat cut. Pathologist William E.B. Hall said today, at the conclusion of an autopsy of the bodies at 5 a.m., that the girls had been shot. The nude girl was shot behind the ear, and the other had a wound in the throat as a result of the shooting. First reports indicated the girls had been dead from 48 to 72 hours. However, Dr. Hall said it was impossible to determine the time of death without further study of the autopsy. Police sent out an all-points bulletin on a 1965 maroon Comet automobile Wednesday following a preliminary investigation. Police began searching for the automobile after learning of an incident at Timmerman's Texaco station. Early information was that the car had been stopped with a flat tire on Interstate 70, a short distance from the station. A passerby, tentatively identified as Bernard Spade Hancock of Maryland, is said to have stopped and lent assistance. The car was occupied by a youth and two girl companions. The trio walked to the service station while the passerby fixed the tire. It is said the girls screamed when the youth was struck, but did not show signs of being held. So it turns out that wasn't related. They came out later that wasn't related at all. A state police spokesman said Miss Eberlin had been shot twice, once in the hand and once in the face. That means she probably was trying to defend herself, and then the bullet. I mean, they must know that there's two bullets, but I guess if you put your hand up, it could have gone through the bullet and hit your head. The bullet in the face entered near the mouth and exited the chin. The bullet re-entered the lower portion of the neck. That's really strange trajectory there. And lodged in the right lung. The bullet pierced her aorta, causing death, police said. Miss Lenihan was shot in the back of her right ear, and the bullet exited the bridge of her nose. So that probably went right through her brain there. The bullets were identified as small caliber. Miss Lenihan also had rope burns around her neck and 3 lacerations of her head made with what police termed an unidentified instrument. Scrape wounds were also on the body of Lenihan. She's the one that was nude. And they have scrape marks because she her body was dragged at some point. They were post-mortem. On the back and buttocks, autopsy reports indicated the wounds, including the rope burns and lacerations, were made after death. The girls reportedly left New York City October 24th en route. So they've been missing since October 24th. It was not, and so that makes I think they were held against their will. They went missing on the 24th, and then they were found. Let's see. They were found on Wednesday, and this is Thursday, November 5th. So if they were killed 2 to 3 days before this, it was November 2nd. So that means somebody else had them for like a week. Crazy, huh? Hey, Kit Kat. Okay, the girls reportedly left New York City October 24th en route to Washington, D.C. for a peace rally. It was not disclosed how the girls left New York, hitchhiking or by car. One report said the girls were supposed to have left by bus. Identification of the victims began when police discovered an identification card from Queens. A source at the Long Island Press in New York City, hey, thanks, Stace, in New York City today quoted the mother of Miss Lenihan as saying her daughter had fallen in with a group of hardcore communists, today known as liberals. Just kidding. She referred to her daughter as bright, affectionate, a good daughter who believed in peace. The source said the mother did not know how the girl left New York City. Police throughout the morning have continued. Hey, thank you, Billy Boy Blue. Whoa, whoa, Kit Kat is here. Oh, yeah. The double murders are being compared to the Shade Gap sniper incident in 1966, where mountain man William D. Hollenbaugh kidnapped Peggy Ann Bradnick and held her captive for 8 days while a massive manhunt tracked down the sniper. Hollenbaugh was killed in a wild shootout with police and volunteers. Shade Gap is about 45 miles to the north of Watersburg. Okay, so that's that. Okay, here's another article here. Striking similarities in the slang of co-eds whose bodies were found in South Pennsylvania and one whose body was found in Connecticut indicate the same killer may have been involved. A spokesman said all 3 victims were members of the college community, probably had been hitchhiking and were shot to death before the bodies were dumped elsewhere. Investigators have been working on the case for months, following potential leads to an Atlantic coast and as far west as Colorado. Now Pennsylvania and Connecticut state police investigators believe that the same person may have committed all 3 crimes. On November 4th, 1970, a Pennsylvania highway worker found the bodies of 19-year-old June Eberlin and Mary Ellen Lenihan, undergraduate students at Queens College, New York, alongside Interstate 70 near Watersburg, a few miles from Maryland. Both had been shot to death. One of the girls was fully clothed, the other nude with a rope around her neck. A pathologist report indicated that they had been dead 48 to 72 hours before the bodies were found, leading to the theory they were killed elsewhere and dumped. The 2 girls were last seen alive on October 24th, 1970, when they left New York City, reportedly en route to Washington, D.C. On November 16, 1969, the body of Paget Weatherly, 23-year-old graduate at the University of Connecticut, was found in a wooded area along Country Road near Bolton, Connecticut. She had been shot to death. Investigators said there were indications that she had been killed elsewhere. Troopers, that means they didn't find any blood. It wasn't enough blood to indicate she was killed there. Yeah, so anyways, they thought there was a similarity. You know, I always think it's weird when you look at the sketches in these old articles. See, these look like how people look today, you know? So it's strange how, like, 1970, the hairstyles and everything kind of were more like they are now. But if you go to, like, 65, then you get the weird, you know, the big, big hairdos. I don't know what you call those. But everything looks totally different. Yeah, I was going to say bouffant, but I didn't. I didn't want to be wrong. All right, so here's an article somebody wrote on I Did It for Jody. This is about them. So this case hasn't been solved. I'm gonna go down to where it was talking about the autopsies down here. It's pretty crazy. The girls' autopsies were conducted by Franklin County pathologist W.E.B. Hall. Hey, thanks, Lee D. Theft had not been the primary motive of the crime, he revealed. June had money in her shoe, and Mary Ellen had money secreted away in her knee socks. Approximately $50. Well, I mean, maybe you didn't find those, right? The innumerable injuries inflicted instead hinted a darker motive. In an interview with Philadelphia Daily News, he described the slaying as a murder orgy that involved narcotics. I've done many autopsies, but I've never seen in excess of this, he said. I'd hate to have whoever did it free on the roads in any community. June's post-mortem examination revealed she'd been shot twice. One back of her head, entered the back of her left hand, near her left finger and exited the palm. The second bullet traveled a circuitous route, entering her face 1 inch above her the left corner of her mouth. So just kind of picture what I'm saying. Right above the left corner of her mouth, exiting her chin, then entering her neck. So I guess that kind of makes sense. So it goes boom, straight down through the lower part of your chin and then into the neck. So it leaves the chin just for a moment and then through the neck. And then ultimately nicking her aorta and lodging in her left lung. Although June had been fully dressed in a fringed leather jacket, beaded denim overalls, a green t-shirt, and white tennis shoes, she'd been raped shortly before her death. So she was made to get dressed again. A wad of LSD-infused chewing gum, a very 1970s detail, was found embedded in her clothing. Mary Ellen's autopsy yielded several unexpected findings. Although she had been found nude, she had not been raped. Despite her rope garrote, she had not been strangled. And even though she'd suffered 3 gaping cranial lacerations, her skull had not been fractured. Her back exhibited extensive post-mortem scraping, possibly indicative. I think it means that she was just dragged on the ground, of being dragged, and she'd been shot once behind the right ear. The bullet exited at the bridge of her nose. Let's see, we're on Mary Ellen, so we're talking about her. So let's just use her though. So behind the left ear, and then it goes right out the bridge of her nose. So that means, it probably hit her, the left frontal lobe of her brain came out right at the front there. On this girl, though. The bullet exited the bridge of her nose. Both victims had been shot with the same gun, a .32 caliber revolver, and both exhibited a surfeit of additional cuts and gashes. The autopsy results led Dr. Hall to conclude the girls had been held captive for some time. Both had empty stomachs, and extensive bruising on both victims had been inflicted as many as 4 days before death. Bizarrely, within 30 minutes before or just prior to their demise, the girls had been subjected to cold temperatures, possibly immersed in water. The bodies transported to the scene in a prone position had been at the discovery site no more than 6 hours after being dumped. Dr. Hall believed at least 2 assailants had been involved in the crime and would later describe his reasoning thusly. The multiple injuries inflicted on the girls, both before and after death, were evidence of an unrestrained exhibition of hatred, the acts of persons gone berserk, the methods. Well, see, all this is before serial killer times, right? So they didn't realize that there was just people who do these kind of things. You don't have to have drugs or anything like that. The method used to inflict the injuries and the angle of blows are indicative of a straight ritualistic murder. The investigation indicates the use of possibly 5 different instruments in the torture of the girls: a knife, scissors, a gun, a rope, and a flat object, probably a 2x4. The injuries were inflicted at different angles from all sides of the girls, indicating they were either sitting or lying down while their murderers were moving around them in a circle. I mean, this is crazy shit, man. Don't you think? Despite the grisly nature, so you see these 2 bodies down there, and you kind of think, okay, they're raped and killed and thrown down there, but it's not like that at all. This is like that other, I can't remember the case because we cover so many, but for a week, it sounds like. They went missing on the 24th and found on the 4th, and they'd been dead for 24 to 36 hours. It's just a freaking monster, you know? Despite the grisly nature of the girl's wounds, the real bombshell in the autopsy report concerned the victim's times of death. Dr. Hall concluded Mary Ellen and June had been slain. Now, I was going to say something about the water, that they were exposed to cold. It kind of makes you wonder if the person was trying to clean off their bodies of anything, related to him. Hairs or anything. Although, back then people weren't thinking about that as much. And there is a creek at the bottom of this rise here. And the guy that found them said that part of their bodies were in the creek. And that's why I think I followed I-70 right in this area. This is the Watersburg. We'll go back to the article in a second. But this is Watersburg. And then the exit for Watersburg is right here. So you can take it, come up, go around, and go to Watersburg. And they said it's just near there. And they said it was in a creek. So I think I found a time of the year where it's really easy to see, which is usually in a, like that. There you go. And when you look at I-70 near Watersburg, there's no creek. I don't know if that's a little tiny one, but that's not what we're talking about here. It's got to be following along it. So when you go down I-70, there's the Watersburg exit there. And then this is the only place right here where down the bank is the creek. And then it disappears and it doesn't really match back up to it again for a while. And then it seems like it's on this side here. And I don't think they would have referred to that area where, and then say it was near the Watersburg exits. Or let's see, Warfordsburg. I'm not sure why I kept saying. That's a hard name to say. Say that fast. Warfordsburg. Okay. Warfordsburg. Okay, not Watersburg. But I think this is the area. Here, it just looks different now because it's 50 years later, and there's trees. But obviously, certain times of years, there isn't trees there, or they lower down. You can see right through them. And then there's a creek down there. But there's really nothing that looks anything like what we see in those images that we were looking at earlier. Let me see if I pull one up really quick. Yeah, like that. See, but it's 50 years ago. There are trees and stuff here, but see how the creek obviously goes along there. It's not like just a little pool. It goes like that. And they're actually using a magnet in this picture to try to... so Kubi, you would like this if you were still out there, but they're using a magnet to try to find the gun that was used, the .32 caliber. Okay, let me get back to that. Okay, so it says, despite the grisly nature of the girl's wounds, the real bombshell in the autopsy report concerned the victim's time of death. Dr. Hall concluded Mary Ellen and June had been slain as many as 6 days before being dumped. So now it's a little bit more than that. Definitely ruling out a connection with the gas station attack. The bushy-haired, buckskin-clad would-be robber, though never apprehended, was off the hook. With the loss of their sole suspect, the Pennsylvania State Police were in an impasse. So it's a little bit weird, too, that the killer kept their bodies for so long. Investigators had no witnesses, so even then, you're looking at 3 or 4 days held captive. Detectives also had no crime scene since June and Mary Ellen had been killed elsewhere and dumped, with the only lead in the investigation revealed as buckskin red herring detectives had only one remaining option to solve the case, linking the girl's murder to similar slayings with more plentiful clues. Connecting crimes in the pre-DNA era was an inexact science at best, but it was the only avenue of investigation. So apparently this one hasn't been solved yet, because this article is from 2017 and I didn't see anything since then. So that one's nuts, right? All right, then during that, the whole searching for the initials on the abdomen, I came across some other cases, and these 3 aren't solved right here. So there's 3 individuals, but they are 100% convinced that these 3 were killed by the same person. A blonde 18-year-old FBI clerk, Donna. So she worked for the FBI, 18, but she was just like a clerk, but still pretty cool to be working for the FBI at 18 years old, right? She was found stabbed to death Tuesday in an apartment building where she lived. Her nude body with a pair of 3-inch sewing scissors still protruding from one of several stab wounds in her upper chest and throat was discovered by a former roommate. So it's kind of interesting that there's scissors protruding, and then in that previous case that we just talked about, there were scissors used at one point. Yes, everybody, don't forget, I'm just a cup of coffee. All right. Miss Oglesby was the 3rd suburban Washington woman to be stabbed to death in the past 3 weeks. All of the victims have been attractive blondes. A police official called Miss Oglesby's death a particularly vicious murder. An autopsy will be performed today. Where is that? To determine whether she was sexually assaulted. Police would not speculate on possibilities between her slaying and the other stabbing deaths, plural, both in Montgomery County, Maryland. One of the later victims was 14, the other 33, a high school teacher. The body of the younger girl, Sherry Kennedy, of Potomac, Maryland, was discovered January 18th in a park with ice pick wounds and fragments of a .22 caliber bullet in her head. Thank you, Jessica Schubach. 1 week ago today, the body of Catherine Kalberer was found in a car outside her Bethesda, Maryland apartment. She had been slashed and stabbed. Police said several persons have been questioned concerning her death. So you notice they mentioned 2 other people up here. Mainly, I think it was right here, the 14-year-old and the 33-year-old right there. And so these are them right here in this picture. It turns out to be kind of weird how this develops here. Three pretty blondes have been savagely stabbed to death in Washington suburbs within 16 days, and some authorities fear they face a butcher on the Beltway. Other officers say the murders are yet to be firmly linked, but let's see. The Army, it's hard to read this, what that word is right there. Young career women from across the nation, many of them living in apartment complexes dotting the superhighway that girdles the capital like a belt, care little whether the killer is one or several fright. It's hard to read this because it's not a clear copy. It's missing letters. Fright is their roommate. Since the killings, I don't even go out in the hall by myself. Dead are Sherry Bristol Kennedy, 14. That's this girl right here. A junior high school Spanish whiz dumped in a snowy ravine with an ice pick in her skull. So look at, now it's interesting that they're leaving instruments, right? So this girl was left in a ravine with an ice pick in her skull, just stuck in it. Dumped in a snowy ravine with an ice pick in her skull, Catherine O'Brien Colbert, 33, a Shakespeare scholar and high school English teacher, whose body was waffled with 124 slashes. And Donna Sue Oglesby, that's the one we were just talking about, 18, an FBI file clerk, stripped naked and stabbed with scissors. And the scissors were left in her. Mrs. Colbert and the Kennedy girl were last seen alive in the same Maryland apartment building near the Capitol Beltway. Miss Oglesby was slain in her Virginia apartment, also near the Beltway, and officers say the cases are similar to a 1968 murder of 23-year-old stabbed 80 times in another Maryland apartment near the Beltway. I think it's a maniac. You notice how they called everybody maniacs back then? Instead of like psycho. I think it's a maniac or some sadist under the influence of drugs, said Dr. John G. Bale, the medical examiner who handled the Kennedy and Colbert cases. All right, so there you go. And then we move forward a couple weeks. Washington authorities are investigating the murder of FBI clerk Donna Oglesby above, stabbed to death in her Alexandria, Virginia apartment with a pair of scissors. The nude body of Miss Oglesby, 18, was discovered with stab wounds. It was the third slaying of the type, so you had those other two, right? And then we move to 1981, so 11 years later. And let's see. I know there's a... Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is interesting here. So Riverside... And this is Riverside, Colorado, it looks like. Police scoured a rugged forest area for a man charged Tuesday with murdering one young girl camper and wounding another. And the girl's junior high school classmates raised $300 reward for his capture. The mood is very somber, said Lake Elsinore Junior High School principal Francis Gregory. We're all saddened and sick, and a lot of us have been doing quite a bit of crying. Gregory used the school public address system Tuesday to call for a moment of silence for the two girls. The school's flag flew at half-staff. Vanessa Ibery, 12, died Monday night at Mission Community Hospital in Mission Viejo, 2 days after the apparently random shooting at a campground in the nearby Cleveland National Forest. She had been hit in the head, as was her friend, Kelly Cardioid, also 12. Kelly was reported in good condition Tuesday after undergoing cranial surgery at the same hospital. Orange County Municipal Court issued a murder warrant Tuesday for the arrest of Thomas Francis Edwards and set bail at $500,000. Deputies said Edwards, 37, a part-time range officer, and believe me, this all makes sense in a minute, a part-time range officer at the South Coast Gun Club in Irvine, was granted a divorce last month from his wife. He reportedly frequented the campgrounds and was believed to be living out of the back of his pickup truck. The two girls were walking in the park near where they had been camping with Vanessa Ivory's family when a man in a pickup truck drove to within 10 feet of the girls and called for them to come over. As they walked towards the truck, each was shot in the head, officials said. Sheriff's officers said a witness to the shooting followed the gunman's truck and got a license number. Okay, so that was 1981. And then we've got this article right here. And this individual right here, that's him. That's the person they're talking about. Thomas Francis Edwards, who was sentenced to death in 1986 for the murder of a 12-year-old girl in a campground, that's who they were just talking about, has died of natural causes, and the state prison officials said Tuesday. And this is 2009. Edwards, 65, who was on death row at San Quentin State Prison for more than 22 years, died Saturday at California Medical Facility in Vassaville, said Lieutenant Sam Robinson of the California Department of Corrections. In addition to the murder of Vanessa Ivory, Edwards was convicted of the attempted murder of that other girl, and I just lost what it said. It went off the screen. Come on. In addition to the murder of Vanessa Ivory, Edwards was convicted of the attempted murder of Ivory's best friend, Kelly Cardioid. And that was, I think, this one right here. So he was convicted of murder of this individual and then also wounding this person. And he died in prison. And this is what he looked like about at that time. Yeah. So here's the thing. Sherry Kennedy and Catherine Culber's murder solved. So the other two people that were mentioned in these articles right here. See that? Catherine Culber and Sherry Kennedy. Okay, and then this is Donna Oglesby that worked for the FBI. See, check this out. Cases of Sherry Kennedy and Catherine Culber officially closed. The Montgomery County Police Cold Case Squad confirmed this morning that Thomas Francis Edwards, the same guy that we were just talking about, totally different MO, shooting those two girls, at a Bethesda gas station in 1970, was the killer of both Sherry Kennedy and Catherine Culber. So he's the one that left the ice pick in the head and, just brutal. Kennedy, 14 years old at the time, and Culber, 33, were murdered and mutilated within 10 days of each other in January 1970. Near Montgomery Mall, both were stabbed repeatedly, and Kennedy suffered a gunshot wound as well. According to cold case detective Joe Madano, Edwards was the focus of the police investigation in 1970, but at the time, evidence was considered insufficient for prosecution. Edwards was on parole for a robbery conviction, and he was incarcerated until 1977 on a parole violation. Both victims were connected to Spring Lake Apartments on Westlake Drive. Besides the proximity of Edwards' workplace to the murder scenes, police also found written descriptions of female customers of the gas station where he was employed. When executing search warrant of his residence, a green army-style jacket was also taken into evidence. In February 2009, Thomas Francis Edward died of natural causes while awaiting execution. Thomas Francis Edward was convicted in 1983 of the 81 murder of Vanessa Ibery. Now, so anyways, they linked him to the murders of those other two. Okay, but that didn't solve, unfortunately. It didn't link to Donna Oglesby. And hers is one of the ones that's still unsolved. So there was good news that these two, they, even though it was post, after the guy died, they were able to link and solve these two murders. But Donna Oglesby, the FBI clerk, her case hasn't been solved. And now, so I'm going back out to there was only 3 folders. There actually are 3 people that aren't solved that they think are linked. So that was Donna Sue Oglesby was what the first one was about, but I added the other 2 in there just to sort of as a curveball to you guys so you could see like, wow, look at that. And then those 2 were solved by many, many, many years later. Well, one was 33 Walligator, so it's not really that young. Okay. And so the next one is Yvonne Dowdy. This is all I could find on her. Police say there were no... So remember the first one was... Let's just go back to hers. She was found stabbed to death Tuesday in an apartment building where she lived. Her nude body with a pair of 3-inch sewing scissors still protruding from one of several stab wounds. So that was Donna Sue Oglesby. Okay, now back to... This is the second one that they say are linked. Police say there were no visible signs of forced entry, and this is also 1970, but 6 months later. And she was a 20-year-old airline reservation clerk found... So now we've got an 18-year-old, now a 20-year-old. She was an airline reservation clerk found stabbed to death in her bedroom. The nude body of Yvonne Dowdy was found Thursday, stretched across her bed, with her hands tied behind her back. A co-worker and her supervisor at National Airlines had gone to the apartment when she failed to report to work and discovered her body. An autopsy revealed Friday that Miss Doughty was stabbed once in the chest, but Dr. David Oxley, Alexandria Hospital pathologist, said further tests would be required to determine if she had been sexually attacked. He also said he wasn't sure what kind of weapon was used. Commonwealth Attorney John E. Kinahan said there was one lock on the door, but no signs of any force was used by Miss Doughty's assailant in gaining entrance to the apartment. I think back then people would just kind of open the door when somebody knocked. Miss Doughty, who lived alone, was the stepdaughter of a Navy chief petty officer now stationed in the Philippines. Police said they have no leads in the case. There have been 3 similar murders in Washington area in recent months. All right, the other 3 that we were just talking about. And then there's another one is 2 years later, Marion Kelley. Several state agencies which support the blind have offered a $525 reward for information concerning the whereabouts of Miss Marion J. Kelley, 30, an employee of the Virginia Commission for the Visually Handicapped, who had been missing since November 14th. Miss Kelley, a teacher of the blind, was last seen leaving her office at 5 p.m. that day. Police report that a state-owned auto which Miss Kelley used during working hours, was found abandoned on an Alexandria street, but her personal car remains parked in front of her residence. Okay, that was November 24th. Now we're going all the way to December 20th. An autopsy is scheduled for today to determine the cause of death of Marion J. Kelley, whose body was found in a boarded-up abandoned house in Alexandria. Miss Kelley, 30, a teacher of the blind, disappeared mysteriously 5 weeks ago, and her body was found Tuesday by 2 boys playing in the abandoned house. The house is 9 blocks from where police earlier had found Miss Kelley's state-owned car and 6 blocks from where she was last reported to have been seen, leaving her basement office of the Virginia Commission for the Visually Handicapped November 14th. On the 3rd day after her disappearance, her state-owned car was found locked across an abandoned lot in a decaying commercial area where she had no blind students. Alexandria police said her personal car also was found parked in the city and her bank accounts had gone untouched. A police detective had said that at one point there was a total lack of clues in the case. Detectives said a preliminary examination showed no signs of violence, but they said further conclusions would have to wait an autopsy. Well, she's probably pretty decomposed. Memorial services were... Oh, excuse me, I gotta get this. Okay, alright. Man. The body of the 30-year-old teacher was found Tuesday in a vacant house. Details of an autopsy have not been released. Her remains were buried in the Culpeper National Cemetery after an Episcopal funeral service. She was denied treatment as a Catholic by the Lady Queen of a... This is kind of a weird part here. She was denied treatment as a Catholic by the Lady Queen of Apostles Church in Alexandria because her body had been cremated after the autopsy. An archdiocese spokesman said the final decision was made by church officials in Richmond. The church maintains there was no justification for cremating the body, but family members said it was necessary because the conditions of the body was found in. Yeah, because she was freaking, decomposing for a month. Miss Victor Kelley Sr. was upset about the church position concerning her daughter's funeral, saying it's horrendous that they could do that to a person who has given so much of herself to the Catholic Church. Yeah, pretty lame. Pretty lame. Yeah. Okay. And what do we got here? So these are the 3 people that we just discussed right here. But you guys, we are still trying to raise the funds for the end of the month, okay? And I spent a lot of hours putting together these shows, so I gotta make it so it's worth it. See, this is what makes me nervous. See, there's sometimes where I go, I could actually do this show as just my regular job, but I can't, because there's days where it's just like, wow, and that you can't really do it. You have to have something that feels consistent to be able to switch, and that's the channel membership's pretty cool, but it's not really a lot of money. For the end of the month, it's like $800 or something. So at the end of the month, I donate about $200 of that because that's prior to taxes, and then I get taxed on the $800. So that means the total amount is probably like $5,800. and I donate 200 to that. Okay, so that's just how it works on here. Then the only other income is from super chats, and then sometimes PayPal and that kind of thing, and I use that to bump up the donation at the end of the month. So I'm always donating around like 30% of everything. But what I say though is I do 25% of the YouTube funds. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say, everybody. I know it's kind of hard and everything, but I do put a lot of hours. You know, like today I spent like literally 6 hours getting all these, and then trying to find the answers to different stories so that we can get through it. Okay, and then I do a 3-hour show, so it's like a full freaking day of work. But could you imagine doing a full day of work and then having a day where at the end of the show there's like, you know, $60 in super chats or something? Because I have those sometimes, and those are the days where I go, ooh, man, it makes me not want to do this. The 9 hours, you know, it's hard to do the 9 hours or justify taking that much time. So hey, well, anyway, hey, thanks KNS, Carolina T, Alley Cake, and Julie W. You know, it all helps support the channel and everything. So. They do prefer cremains are placed in a cemetery. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool to get cremated though. You know, like, wouldn't it be cool to be cremated, then your ashes just dumped in a lake? And then the fish eat it, and, you know, like then you're just sort of part of I don't know. Hey, thanks Fiber Sleuth, Cairo, and Julie W. I know I should have been doing the Morphew case. I should have just put Morphew in the title at least. Maybe even just saying not Morphew. And then people would say, oh, wait, Morphew. Oh, I thought it said, oh. I mean, it's weird. You got these YouTubers that have 1,000 subs, but have 1,200 views on a Morphew case video that they just put out. It's like, no wonder they're just... Hey, thanks, Laura Nelson. Yeah, and here's the thing, everybody. I don't like having to say anything, you know. But sometimes I feel like I need to. I guess that's just part of life, I guess. Yeah, or cremated or something. I mean, cremation is pretty cool because you're so small at that point, right? Because you're mainly made up of like liquid. But hey, Cairo, the way you typed that in above doesn't make anybody go, you know, that sounds great. I think people should, this is what Cairo said, and I quote, I think people should be allowed to rot naturally in the wilderness and give our nutrients back to the earth. What, are they going to have little parks where there's just rotting bodies sitting around? You know? I don't know. That doesn't sound like that would work too well. Hey, have you been to Rot Park today? Yeah, they added a couple. There's 9 or 10 more in there. Come on, Cairo. Well, we could do Soylent Green too, couldn't we? Start processing people, and they come out as crackers. They don't taste very good. You know, only be the super rich to get the nice little piece of steak here and there. Yeah, but it's buried underground, Jenny, so no. He just said, in a part, you know, put on the ground and rot naturally. That's right. Soylent Green is people. If you haven't seen Soylent Green, they should remake that one. But, well, no, they shouldn't. You know, that's what I hate, like Omega Man, right? That was before the one that Will Smith was in, and it was great too. But you can't really remake Soylent Green because it's perfect. It's a great movie, and you should never remake any Charlton Heston movies of any kind. Right? There isn't one Charlton Heston movie that should ever be remade. Like, oh, hey, let's redo Ben-Hur. Yeah, really? Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Yeah, there isn't one movie that I've seen him in that I go, yeah, they should redo that one. It kind of reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original one. The one that Johnny Depp did was so embarrassingly shitty that I think they should strike it from all the annals of movie history. It was so shitty. Does anybody remember a word from any song in that movie? You sure don't. Yeah, it was just god awful. What a horrible movie that was. It's like, it's so stupid that they remake, like, okay, hey, let's do Red Dawn again. Oh, but we can't do it the way, we were going to do it but the Chinese got mad, so now we can't do it that way. Oh, why would you ever redo Red Dawn? I'm not saying it was the greatest movie in the history of the world, but it was pretty damn good. With, like, literally every, like, famous actor in it that you could ever imagine. Yeah, Gene Wilder was amazing. All the Oompa Loompa songs were great. You remember them all. It was just a great little movie, right? But the one with Johnny Depp, what a pile of shit that was. Wow. Yeah, Mike TV. What do you get from a glut of TV? A pain in the neck and an IQ of 3. What are you at getting terribly fat? Well, I think that's part of a different one. But anyways, something like that. You'll get no commercials, oompa. Yeah, come on. Yeah, Footloose was pretty good, the original one, right? It's just amazing. Hey, let's redo Breakfast Club, man. We'll put in Zac Efron and all the... Yeah, shit. Really, who's going to play Judd Nelson? Smoke up, Johnny! Hey, thanks, Marine. Yeah, I don't think so. I thought Breakfast Club was genius, right? Like, think how amazing that is. They're all just sitting there in a... Like, it must have cost nothing to create other than paying the actors. Because they just did it in a high school. Basically sitting around in the library. And maybe a few other scenes walking down the hall and all that. But, I mean, just really good stuff. Great actors sitting around doing their thing, you know. Yeah, Cairo always likes to tell everybody about all these crazy things that he saw. So you go, oh, wow, he's so much more. Wow, look at that. Ooh, Requiem for a Dream. Okay. I just like talking about the regular mainstream stuff that everybody's seen. Yeah, that was good stuff. Yep. Yeah, well, I'm sure you probably did, Jenny Penny. You probably did. Yeah. Everybody who wants to be cool will say they saw it. Yeah. It's like saying, presser, something like that. Okay, I'll go check the pressure on that one, Cairo. We'll go get a. We'll take a look. Yeah. You know, there's some movies out there that some people don't like at all that I thought were pretty good. I mean, you guys are going to laugh at this one, but do you guys remember the one with Van Damme? I know, just saying Van Damme, there's laughing, right? But it was the one, it was called, I think, Time Cop. I just like the whole concept of that. It was pretty cool, you know? Like where you could go back in time and... then you eventually had to end up changing time a little bit, and then his wife was still alive at the last part. I thought that was a pretty good one. But, you know, it's hard to ever say, oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, Bloodsport was just cool for the, just... And then Universal Soldier, that was a pretty cool, badass type movie, but... and funny at times. Oh, that was pretty good. What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It was great acting by Leonardo DiCaprio, who seemed like he literally had some mental incapacities. Yeah, Time Cop was kind of cool just because it was a good story, you know, and it's. I don't know. I thought it was a lot better than people would say it was. I don't know why. I like ideas like that. Time travel. See, I actually think that there might be people might be able to time travel some point, but it will always be into the future. You'll never be able to go backwards in time. And the reason I say that is because if you go back in time, you'll be able to meet yourself. And maybe that's a law or something that can't happen. But if you go forward in time, you can't meet yourself. It just means that you disappeared off the earth for, shit, I don't know, 200 years, and then you show up in 200 years. But you can go, I guess you could go back in time if it was before you were born, maybe. Which is kind of strange in itself. I didn't see the Netflix on... what was that about? I didn't see that. I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know, Rebecca. I mean, that's all it was about, the Challenger? Yeah, I've seen... Well, I don't know if I've seen the documentary on it. I've seen a lot of stuff on it. You know, that's the one with the O-ring, right? Yeah. Oh, it's a new one? Okay. Maybe it was something more... Well, it was cold out. I remember that. So was it more than just the O-ring now? Maybe I'll check it out. But man, I'm so excited. I think the space program, that's one of the things I really think is cool that Trump did, was create like the Space Force. You know, even though it sounds like, oh, the space. But now they're, you know, it's like a real thing, and they're really trying to figure out a way to get to Mars, man. I mean, who doesn't want... I think we should spend whatever it costs to be able to go to Mars. I mean, my God. Like, we should be doing those kinds of things. That's what Kennedy said too, right? We choose to do those things. You know, like, we just do the... you know, we should be exploring out there. I mean, imagine somebody standing on Mars sending images back. My God. How cool. And there's a great show that I've been watching. It's called Away, I think. It's on, maybe it's Netflix. I can't remember now. But it has, shit, who was the one in the, what's her name? She was in that movie with Clint Eastwood where she was a boxer, female. What's her name? Like something millionaire. Hey, you should watch it. It seems pretty legit. It's called Away. And it's kind of, you know, it's not outlandish or anything. It seems like they're really heading to Mars. Yeah, Hillary Swank. Yep, that's it. Yeah, $1 million there. I kept thinking Slumdog Millionaire, but that was from, I think that was from India. No, it's Hillary Swank was the one that was in that. I like Jennifer Garner though too. Best thing she ever did was get rid of what's his face. Man, you know what sucked the most was Jennifer Garner had these really great shows. They were awesome. And then she marries Ben Affleck, the dipshit. And her career just dove into nothing. While he's out there doing all of his shit, cheating on her all the time, doing all the crap. And she's one of the prettiest people and nicest people I've ever seen in my life. You can just tell. Does anybody out there think that Jennifer Garner is mean in any way at all? Hey, good night, Madonna. And I do have more crime stuff to go over here. Yeah, I mean, I bet you... yeah, it's so ridiculous. I'm glad she's starting to do well again. It's similar to Tom Cruise's... What was her name again? The wife? She was in Scientology, but took her kid and left the damn thing. Yeah, it's similar to that. Kate something or other. Like she got the hell out of there. And now she's back to... Katie Holmes. There you go. She's acting again. Almost had it right. Yeah, I just took a break for a minute. But hold on, I'll turn up the music. Let me get you. Hold on a second. I actually got that book when I was a kid because I didn't know what it was about. I thought it was some cool story, and then I thought, oh shit, I'm not. Then I realized what it was, so I never even read like a page. Like I bought it first, and then somebody said, "Oh, you know what that is, right?" And I go, "Oh shit, never read it. Not one word from it." Dianetics. I really wanted to try the thing where you have to hold, those cans that you hold on to, and they can. Oh God, can you believe the people being manipulated? That's just it's unreal. Anyways, I'm gonna go back now. Only if you guys are done. Oh yeah. Yeah, e-meter. Good stuff, huh? Yeah, I watch so many shows. I don't even know which one I could tell you is the best show. You know. Hell, I watched that one called Hannah on Amazon Prime, I think. Lucifer. I mean, literally, like, you know, when I go to sleep at night, I watch like 2 hours as I wind down. Usually go to sleep about 2 because I do the show till so late, and then I get up at like 9 or 10 in the morning and start the day. Rinse, repeat. Yeah, keep going. Keep throwing out those really random ones. Oh, wow. You know what the best movie ever made was? It was Beguiled. Have you ever seen Beguiled? Oh, you don't know that one? You're fools. It's called, it was one of the ones that Clint Eastwood do, but it wasn't a cowboy one at all. He was just some Civil War guy that convict picked him up, and then he was like having sex with more than one person in there. Then they all ganged up on him and killed him. Well, it might be the same one. Maybe it was a remake. Who knows? 안녕하세요. Oh, and you know, I can make those Korean barbecue ribs really, really good. Okay, I make them taste just like they do in the restaurants. Believe it or not. Oh, and I cook them in the New Wave oven because you just leave it in there until they get kind of dark. Oh, I wonder if it's maybe just sort of a redo of that. But yep, Galbi beef. Yeah, I've never watched any of the Bosch. Apparently it's pretty good because people watch it. Yeah, there's nothing better than Korean barbecue ribs. You get the, you know what's the best part though is after you've eaten the meat, there's the little bone, and then you sort of peel off that little thing that goes around the bone. Oh man, and Cairo loves that shit. So yeah, and it's really good with sticky rice. So I can make sticky rice too. It's like vinegar, sugar. Then you drizzle it on the white rice when you're done, but it has to be sushi rice. And then you get the sticky rice, and then you just use your hands, and you just like bing, 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 bing. Good stuff. Man, I want to eat some right now. Yep, those meat pies are good too. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what you guys are referring to up there. Anyways, okay, I'm going to go back to this. These are those 3 that we were just talking about, right? But in 2017, the Alexandria police asked the public in help in solving these 3 cases. Because I think they think these 3 are related. Like they're really sure. So even though we originally started off with her and Oglesby right here, the 18-year-old FBI clerk who had scissors stuck in her back, and there was 2 others that they associated her with. Those 2 were solved earlier, as we discussed, but then the connection between these 2 still remained. Oh, wait. No, wait. I got to jump in now. Keanu Reeves is not a great actor. He's terrible. Okay? He's entertaining as hell. Like, you want to watch him. But doesn't have his acting range is awful. Okay? And I can give you an imitation right now. Here we go. Watch this one. I am an FBI agent. And that's all you got to know. As soon as you hear that one, as soon as you hear that, Keanu Reeves excerpt. But I have to admit, I like watching his movies because they're it's like Clint Eastwood, right? Is Clint Eastwood really a great actor, or is he just really good at the parts that he plays, but they're always kind of similar? Like, could you see Clint Eastwood crying or something like that? Or hell, was John Wayne actually a great actor? Or was he just really good at that guy that, you know, everyone loved him because he was that? But did he have the range that other actors do? Like, for example, Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Like, he has a ridiculous range all around the place. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do. There's a whole bunch like that. Tom Hanks is a great actor. You know, I mean, I don't like the guy personally, but I said that. Zozo. I am an FBI agent. Give me a break. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah, I just try to be honest, you know? Like, and it's not really an opinion thing. It literally is real, right? Like, give me a movie where Keanu Reeves was just totally dynamic, where you went, wow, that's amazing. You know who's a better actor than he is? Bill Murray. Like, Bill Murray was a comedic actor, but he's actually been in movies like Groundhog's Day and others since then, where he pulls off these other range where you go, wow, that seemed absolutely real. Yeah, Bill and Ted, he's the same. You know, Bill and Ted, he's exactly how he is in the other movies. Just dressed better. You know, he doesn't have the long hair in Point Break, you know. Yeah, it's weird about, I mean, Bill Murray, it's just bizarre that he was able to completely pull off serious moments, you know. Yeah, and what's the other? What was the guy in Time to Kill? McConaughey. I think he's got a pretty good range, but if you think about it, like, a lot of his are sort of that. But I mean, you know, you kind of got to put him in like he's not the same as like a Clint Eastwood or something. You know, he's definitely got more range. I'm just saying he's not. Almost every movie he's in, he's a similar type person. It's so, you know, it's always amazing when you see somebody that's always played a part and then they're so different somewhere else. That's when you sort of look at them a little differently. Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage is about the same as what I was just saying. He's sort of, I mean, he pulls off the parts that he does really well. So you can't say I just don't see the same, you know, range in him, you know. But he's definitely similar. I'm not like, okay, I'm not some freaking expert on all this stuff. This is just my personal observations when I'm watching what they do. And and the way I do that is when I watch them, am I feeling the same as I did the last time I watched them? You know, another perfect example is, I can't, who was the guy that was in The Fly? I can't remember his name. He's the same guy every single time, right? He's got that same, the way he talks, you know. What's his name? No, not John Travolta. Jeff Goldblum. Right. He's the same. Come on. Have you ever seen a movie where you went, wow, I didn't even know that was him for a minute. And thanks Sean Beecham and Lee D up there. Yeah, but Morgan Freeman's good, but again, he's he's kind of a typecast kind of person, right? I mean, he was really good in Shawshank Redemption, but in reality, it was kind of the same person that he's in the other movies. He was just an inmate at that time. Denzel Washington, though, has a really good range. He's all over the place. He can make you cry, think he's a badass, Yeah, it's hard to say, like, who's the best actor. And I think it should just be actor. One who acts, not actress and actor. No, he was in all the Jurassic Parks, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, he's as well. And then what was that one? What was that one movie that they were all in back in the day? It was like a little bit like Breakfast Club, but they were over at a cabin. And it had a bunch of Big Chill, right there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of famous people in that one. See, I don't remember the names very well, but I can sort of describe it, and you guys can fill it in. Yeah. I remember that Friday the 13th was scary, the first one night, and then I was at home watching them, and I was like, oh my God. And then I watched the second one, and by the third one, I was laughing. Fourth one, just, because I got the whole sequence of how they do it. As soon as somebody separates from anybody, they're dead. There isn't even They're basically the red shirts in Star Trek at that point. As soon as you go, hey, listen, I tell you what, and if they're not the one that you've seen the most on the screen so far, and they say, hey, I'm going to go this way, that person is dead. And then it got funny because I could go, oh, here we go, this okay. Well, even if it wasn't goofy, they would have been scary, but they weren't because it was just so obvious at some point. Yeah, see, Seagal has zero range. Okay, like he is exactly the same guy every time. I'd say he's got the least range of anybody, but I like his movies because they're usually I think he does like, what is he, jiu-jitsu? I mean, like little, it looks sort of legit what he's doing because he actually knows what he's doing. It's not this crazy flipping over 1,000 people and flying kick to the head after doing 16 somersaults, Yeah, I know he's a cop, kind of, like I don't know what he trains cops. I know for sure. I mean, I know I think it was in, where was it, New Orleans or something. I remember seeing him on the streets. Yeah, I don't know. I don't count him as the real deal. Kevin Bacon, yeah. Yeah, he has his own show and all that. I've seen it. Yeah. He seemed like sort of like the. I don't know. I don't really give a shit about. I mean, Seagal's movies are pretty good, but he's not. He doesn't interest me as a person. Yeah, I mean, Mel Gibson's pretty damn good actor. Okay. But he's a racist lunatic, so it's hard to. I mean, he's probably one of the worst of the worst. In terms of that. I mean, absolutely horrible. Yeah, you just don't want to be the other Kevin Bacon. The one that Kevin Bacon, the actor, tweeted about and said, wow, I feel so bad for the other Kevin Bacon. And they said, well, why are you tweeting? Well, for obvious reasons. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy. Okay, let me get through the rest of these now, though, okay? Is that all right? Yeah, is that still on? Zozo? I used to watch all those. I didn't catch the last part of last season. But anyways, I'm going to get going on this right here. So I'm going to play this now. So these are the three. Donna Sue Oglesby, Yvonne Dowdy, and Marion Kelley. Oglesby was February 3rd, 1970. Yvonne Dowdy was August 20th, 1970. And these are all in Alexandria, Virginia area. And then Marion Kelley, 1972 in December. And this is what they put out. Well, this is a video on this channel, and then there's another one out here put out by the Alexandria Police Department.
Well, a cold case can nag a police officer for many years. But in Alexandria, there are 3 cases linked to the same suspect that's really nagging the entire department. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Jeff Goldberg shows us why the department is bringing them up again now.
This video, produced by the Alexandria Police Department, begins a renewed effort to solve 3 murders from nearly 50 years ago.
We're asking the public to come forward with any information. The longer these cases go on, obviously we're going to lose important information and evidence.
In 1970, 18-year-old Donna Oglesby was found stabbed and murdered inside her apartment on Duke Street. Later that year, 20-year-old Yvonne Dowdy also found murdered inside her apartment on North Pitt.
And these are all things I found after I collected all the information on those cases. I usually look up stuff, then I look at what the disposition is, and then I just found this one article about it.
Street in Old Town. The third and final victim, Marion Kelley, was found dead inside of an abandoned home that once stood here on Sky Hill Road. That was in late 1972, more than 2 years after the previous murder. Each had been sexually assaulted. Each was a single young woman.
I can only imagine that young women in the community were extremely scared.
Crystal Nosal with the Alexandria Police Department thinks the mood was likely similar to that following the murders of Nancy Dunning, Ron Kirby, and Ruth Ann Lodato. Charles Severance was convicted of the crimes in 2015. Nosal says no new evidence has emerged in the murders of the 70s, but a new cold case detective position has added urgency to the effort.
There's a new desire to find evidence, to find witnesses, people who
DNA?
may remember something.
The department knows this will not be easy,
But we can't let the time stop us.
but they will not give up. In Alexandria, Jeff Goldberg, ABC 7 News.
Wait, Jeff Goldberg?
We have just come from the courtroom of Judge Deborah Dwyer in the Rico LeBlanc.
Okay. And then here's the one that was put out by the Alexandria Police. All the links are in the description. In the 1970s, 3 homicides were committed in Alexandria. The Alexandria Police Department is still investigating these
In the early 1970s,
cases.
we had 3 women murdered here in the city of Alexandria. And the oldest one was about 45 years ago. And we're asking the public to come forward with any information. The longer these cases go on, obviously we're going to lose important information and evidence. The Alexandria Police Department is committed to bringing justice to these 3 women, but certainly to their families and to the community.
In 1970, Donna Sue Oglesby, 18-year-old Alexandria resident, was found stabbed to death in an apartment at 2727 Duke Street. She was also an employee of the FBI.
6 months later, Yvonne Dowdy was found deceased inside of her North Pitt Street apartment. She was just 20 years old at the time of her death. Like Miss Oglesby, Miss Doughty lived alone and was found sexually assaulted and suffering from stab wounds.
For that last year and a half of her life, we were like inseparable.
See, like right there, somebody would look like that today, right? Same kind of shirt, maybe the hair even.
It was what everybody would always want, to have that relationship with your sister. It was the best year and a half of my life, you know, to be with her.
2 years later, Marion Kelley, another young Alexandria female resident, was found dead in an abandoned house on North Fairfax Street. There are some similar characteristics in these cases that lead us to believe that they may be related. All of them were young females, similar in age, and we believe that they were sexually assaulted.
Anyone with information regarding these homicides can contact Detective Ryan Clinch at 703-746-6673.
It's just been so long. I know that I'll never know the reason why things have happened the way they did, but I think just knowing that this person would confess would be just a blessing, to know that it's finally ended.
I mean, they should have DNA from all 3 cases, if they collected it right at the time. So that is the end of that little mystery that I came across there. I had a little turn in there where they were associating Oglesby here with Oglesby, excuse me, right here with 2 other cases, but then those were solved and hers remained. But then later, there was 2 other murders that were associated with her. So I guess at the time she was associated with 5. Okay, now the last one we're going to be doing is Jane Britton. And this one was pretty interesting. Just sort of the way it panned out. So here we go. 1969 Harvard. It's just interesting the way this whole thing, it's just crazy. So this one popped up again. This is 1969. Cambridge police outraged like everyone else over the brutal, seemingly senseless slaying of Jane Britton, attractive 23-year-old Harvard graduate student and member of a prominent family, were determined today to find the killer and bring him to justice. Hey, that's so sexist. How do you know it wasn't a girl? Gee. The Britton girl, daughter of J. Boyd Britton of Needham, administrative vice president of Radcliffe College, was found bludgeoned to death yesterday in her 4th floor apartment at 6 University Road, Cambridge. Was it the work of a sex fiend, a prowler, a crazed psychedelic hippie, a rejected suitor? Hey, Yama, hey, Yama, hey. Maybe, huh? These were the questions a team of Cambridge detectives headed by the Lieutenant Leo F. Davenport were asked today as they launched their manhunt. They talked with the victim's classmates at Harvard, where she was doing graduate work in anthropology. So it's kind of weird, like she was doing anthropology, and you'll hear some stuff that comes up later. Neighbors in the ill-fated apartment complex, scene of the slaying nearly 6 years ago of Beverly Sammons, 26, who also was a graduate student. Let's see, they questioned her neighbors in the ill-fated apartment complex, the same scene, I guess, of another stabbing nearly 6 years prior. They pored over their own files, checking out all reports on known prowlers, burglars, and sex offenders. They checked out fingerprints taken from the Britton girl's apartment and conducted a search of the Bennett Street MBTA yards near University Road in the hope of locating the murder weapon. They were also trying to locate a young man described to them as an ex-boyfriend of the victim who recently returned to Cambridge from a trip to South America. The murder weapon, according to Dr. Arthur McGovern, medical examiner, could have been a hand hatchet or a cleaver of some sort. It also could have been an archaeologist-type ball-peen hammer with a straight edge on the opposite side of the hammer. Yeah, it's just so brutal with some of these killings. All of them, actually. They're just... Miss Britton died of massive lacerations of the skull, according to Dr. McGovern, but he said that the wounds were not limited to the back of the skull, as was first believed. She had been hit from all angles, said Lieutenant Davenport, which is similar to that one that we heard about earlier, right? The ones that were being tortured, they were hit from different angles. That means they were kind of light on their back, and then you can just walk around and hit them however you want to. She had been hit from all angles, said Lieutenant Davenport, at least twice in the face. Jesus. Her body, clad only in a nightgown, was found lying face down on her bed about 12:40 p.m. yesterday by James Humphreys, 27, also a graduate student at Harvard, and described by police as Jane's steady boyfriend. Well, I thought that was the one that you said you were looking for. With Humphreys, when the grim discovery was made, were Mr. and Mrs. Don Mitchell, fourth-floor neighbors of the slain girl. Humphreys told police he went to Jane's apartment to find out why she had failed to show up for an exam yesterday morning. He had been with her on a dinner date in Harvard Square Monday night. The young man, interviewed by police for hours yesterday, said he notified the Mitchell couple when there was no response to his knock on the Britton girl's apartment door. Then he and the Mitchells entered through the unlocked door and found the girl. Lieutenant Davenport said the one reason she kept her door unlocked was to allow the Mitchells to make use of her refrigerator, a model larger than their own, for food storage. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell told the police Miss Britton called at their apartment shortly before midnight Monday after she had returned from her date with Humphreys. It was approximately 12:30 a.m. Tuesday when Jane returned to her own apartment, police said. They were told, and Humphreys had left the apartment building before that time. Yeah, so she called even after their date. Doesn't sound like the boyfriend has anything to do with it. She was killed within a couple of hours, according to Dr. McGovern's estimate of the time of death. He said death occurred between 10 and 12 hours before her body was discovered. Among the many items detectives were checking today was a report by a Harvard student that he saw the two men running along Mount Auburn Street near the intersection of University Road about 12:30 a.m. Tuesday. Ravi Rikye, 22, of India, who had been rooming the last several days with Mr. and Mrs. William Cobb at 5B University Road, said he was awakened by a man shouting, "Get to the car! Get to the car!" He said he looked out to the window and spotted two men, both with swept-back long hair, running to a parked car, which he described as a 1955 or 56 black four-door sedan. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to move on to the next article here. The body of Jane Britton, 22, Harvard graduate student, the daughter of James Boyd Britton, administrative vice president of Radcliffe, was found Tuesday in her fourth-floor apartment. Dr. McGovern said the slaying occurred sometime during the night. Miss Britton had suffered bruises on her face. It was not determined whether she had been assaulted sexually. Dr. George Katz's state pathologist scheduled an autopsy. So that was another article that same day, so that was actually less information than the other one. So then 2 days later, see, this is kind of some weird ritualistic shit here, though. It sounds like, anyway. It sounded like at the time. So it said, Cambridge Police Chief James F. Reagan yesterday ordered a news blackout in the Jane Britton murder investigation. The body of Miss Britton, 23, a graduate student in anthropology at Harvard, was found bludgeoned in her Cambridge apartment Tuesday. The information ban by Reagan came as newsmen gathered for what they thought would be a late afternoon briefing on developments. There will be no statements unless they are cleared through my office, said Reagan. The reason for this is to provide some accuracy. As I go over the papers, I find some of the statements attributed to various officers are not true. Reagan refused to specify the inaccuracies he was complaining of, but he refused to describe the ones he was complaining of, but a department source speculated he was upset about news accounts concerning a reddish, powdery substance found at the slaying scene. Some of the stories quoted an unnamed anthropologist as suggesting the police find could indicate Miss Britton's killer performed some kind of bizarre ritual over his victim. Professor Stephen William, chairman of anthropology department at Harvard, told the Globe last night the substance was similar to red ochre, an iron ore mineral powder, which the Neanderthals used. I'm adding that in. Williams, who said he spent most of yesterday conferring with police, was willing to conclude the pigment was used by the killer in a ritual over the slain girl. There are a number of things I want to make very clear, however, Williams said. Red ochre, Williams said, has any number of mundane uses, including influence of coloring effects in art, and can be purchased cheaply at most hardware stores. It has been used by primitive people all over the world from time immemorial for everything from decorating pottery to painting their faces. Well, she's an anthropologist, right? Burying their dead, Williams said. Its use goes back 30,000 years, and it is still in use in some countries. But I want to emphasize that its use in burial rites is not specific to any place or time. Right, so that was just something that they were talking about. It was kind of bizarre. And so there's still no clues. Let's go down here. They called police, and within minutes, Cambridge detectives swarmed into the apartment. They observed the girl had suffered a severe head injury. The medical examiner, Dr. Arthur McGovern, was summoned. The body was removed to a funeral parlor where Dr. McGovern autopsy showed that Jane had died of a massive skull laceration from multiple blows with a sharp instrument. So it didn't say well, it did say it. It said Jane had died of a massive skull laceration from multiple blows. So it must have just kept chopping in the same spot, I guess. It was another murder, a brutal, senseless bludgeon slaying. Many of the detectives recalled immediately that the University Road apartment house was the scene in 1963 of the stab murder of Beverly Sammons, 26, a graduate student and musical therapist who, like Britton, lived alone. Police wasted no time. They were over the apartment with a fine-tooth comb. They found a blood-stained cigarette on an ashtray, indicating that the killer... Well, God, if they still have that cigarette, man, and you stored it correctly, there's probably DNA on there, indicating that the killer had smoked either during or immediately after the crime. They searched the area surrounding the apartment building complex. Well, what's weird is that the door was unlocked. So did the person go out a window, or did they just go out the front door, exposing themselves to anybody? Although I guess if it was really early in the morning when they left, there wouldn't have been... So the person might have known that the boyfriend had already left, and if it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, nobody's going to be coming back. Let's see. I'm just going to move on to the next article here. So 1973. Michael, now this is just some, I'm just bringing this is just other stories going on at the time. Michael E. Sumter, 26, of Pearl Street, Dorchester, was arraigned in Brookline Municipal Court yesterday on charges of unarmed robbery, assault, and battery of a police officer and carrying a loaded .38 caliber revolver. Sumter, a Norfolk prison inmate who failed to report back from a furlough about a month ago, was arrested near Marsh Chapel on the Boston University campus. Police were responding to a call of a handbag theft in progress. Sumter allegedly robbed a Brookline woman. Okay, in 1975, a Norfolk prison inmate has been sentenced to Walpole State Prison for 15 to 20 years after being convicted of raping a Back Bay woman while he was free on a work release program in early August. Suffolk Superior Judge James C. Roy ordered that Michael E. Sumter, 28, of Seaver Street, Roxbury, complete the 6 to 10 year term he is now serving before beginning the Walpole sentence. Sumter was convicted in June 1972 of assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon and sent to Walpole Prison. But then he was let out on furlough. I mean, what the hell is that anyway? I mean, if you're in prison, you're in prison. What in the hell's a furlough? I mean, it's ridiculous. A jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated for 4 hours before finding Sumter guilty on 2 counts of rape in connection with the attack on a 19-year-old woman in her Beacon Street apartment on August 2nd, 1975. The victim, now it's starting to sound familiar, right? The victim, a college student, testified that she allowed Sumter to enter her apartment for a drink of water after he introduced himself as a new neighbor. See, that might have been his little technique there. She said the defendant went into her bathroom and emerged with a few moments wearing rubber surgical gloves. Oh, Jesus. He overpowered her, she said, tied her hands and gagged her with tissue. The victim said she was forced to commit an unnatural act on the defendant, and he later raped her. She said she identified Sumter 3 days later after viewing 250 photographs at Boston Police Headquarters. Assistant District Attorney John M. Moscardelli introduced evidence to show that under the work release program, Sumter left Norfolk at 5:30 a.m. and returned at 7:30 p.m., 6 days per week. However, the Quincy Home Furnishings Company, where Sumter worked, closed at noon Saturdays. The rape occurred at 4 p.m. on Saturday. All right, then we're moving all the way to 2010. 38 years after authorities found Ellen Rutchick partially clothed and strangled, and this is just a different case. Strangled with an electrical cord in her Back Bay apartment. Police said yesterday that they have cracked the case, one of an increasing number of cold crimes solved with new forensic methods, using DNA matching technology, and this is an article from 2010. Cold Case Squad investigators identified Michael Sumter as the suspect in the 1972 slaying of the 23-year-old secretary. Police also named him as a suspect in the 1985 rape of a 21-year-old woman who also lived in Back Bay. No charges will be filed. Sumter died in prison in 2001 while jailed on a separate rape conviction. This development demonstrates that although sometimes justice may be delayed, with dogged detective work, dedicated prosecutors, and highly skilled crime lab technicians, justice does not have to be denied. Well, ain't that the truth? Yeah, right here it says, in 2002, police identified Sumter in the 1985 case as part of a project to re-examine unsolved sexual assaults using DNA evidence. Right. And then the next page of that. Let's see. Rutchick also had been sexually assaulted, so detectives sent biological evidence from the crime scene to a lab. In July 2009, investigators matched the DNA from the scene with Sumter's DNA held in the FBI Combined DNA Index System known as CODIS, prosecutors said. Sumter died of cancer while serving his 15 to 20-year sentence, the one he served after the other one, for the rape of a woman at her Beacon Street residence in 1975. See, what's crazy, though, is he was doing stuff to people on his furloughs. So the court system's responsible. He should have just been locked away. Anytime you have a sex crime, how in the hell can you allow somebody to have a furlough? This is a great relief, Irene Rutchick, one of the victim's 3 siblings, said when reached by telephone. So there's that. And then 2012. So, I mean, this guy, he's basically a serial killer at this point. Boston police identified a dead man as the assailant in the 1973 murder and sexual assault of a 23-year-old woman in her Beacon Hill apartment, officials said Thursday. Police Commissioner Edward F. Davis and Suffolk District Attorney Daniel F. Conley announced the break in the cold case and identified Michael Sumter Thursday as the man who raped and strangled 24-year-old Mary Lee McLean on December 12, 1973. Sumter died of cancer in 2001. He was connected to the slaying based on DNA evidence techniques unavailable at the time of the crime, officials said. The brutal attack on McLean is the second slaying from the 1970s that authorities have linked to Sumter. In 2010, DNA evidence connected him to the 1972 rape and killing of Ellen Rutchick, 23, in her Beacon Street residence. He is also believed to have raped 21-year-old woman in Marlborough Street apartment in 1985. Obviously that was on furlough. In 2002, Sumter was linked to that assault from DNA evidence he was ordered to provide following his conviction for the 1975 rape. See, he was supposed to serve 6 to 10 and then up to 20 on the second one, so why was he out in 85? Oh yeah, the furlough. Police concluded at the time, that means he raped and killed like 2 or 3 people during, quote, furloughs he was given. Jeez. That sounds like a Massachusetts thing. I mean, they're so free-thinking over there. You know, they just, wow. We're so evolved. We're so great. You know? Yeah, one thing I always love about the Massachusetts lefties over there is they'll always say stuff like, hey, we're really into wind farms. Just don't put any out there off the cove, so we don't want any out where we can see it. Put the wind farms where everybody else can see it, but don't put them out there, off of Martha's Vineyard, by the way. It's crazy shit, man. Police concluded, I'm talking about the Massachusetts, well, you must be from there. Oh yeah, you're from Boston. Oh, sorry, Jesus. Okay, well, you're from there, but don't you think that's a little hypocritical? When Ted Kennedy used to say, hey, don't put the wind farms right off there. Right? You remember that? No, I'll say whatever I want, Stormy. Thanks. But yeah, whenever, remember he used to say, yeah, we'll put wind farms. We're all for it. And they go, well, the most wind we get is right out there. Well, not there because I don't want to see those. Well, what about everybody else that didn't want to see those? It's just so hypocritical. I hate it. Police concluded at the time of McLean's slaying that she was killed by an unknown person who broke into her apartment on Mount Vernon Street. Boston police collected evidence and interviewed several people, but were unable to connect the rape and killing to Sumter until a federal grant provided the money to launch a cold case investigation. So anyways, now they've connected him to like 2 or 3, right? Yeah. And then 2014, let's see. Naturally, we're interested in all things anthropological. See, this is an article that came out on the case that we were just talking, the main case, the Jane Britton, the anthropologist. Okay, you guys still remember that had the ochre, whatever the hell you want to call it, on the wall? Okay, you remember that? So, listen, this is an article that came out, and it was like, Jane Britton, a 23-year-old Harvard graduate student in anthropology, was murdered on January 6, 1969. And then they show this picture of the anthropology class, and, some Iranian This is back when Iran was normal. I mean, it was. You know what's amazing? Go type in Iran. Let her watch this. Iran 1970. Yay, you know, and then you look at images, watch this. That's what they look like. Just normal people. You know, like right there. It wasn't until now when the radicals took over, they turned the country into just a pile of shit, okay? I mean, look at this right here. It was literally like, you know, that looks like anywhere here in the United States. People, you know, hell, they'd smoke cigarettes, they sat around, they just did their thing. And a lot of us think like, oh my God, they've always been sort of this really depressed, radical. But no, that's since the Shah crap. You know, the backlash to the Shah brought in the mullah, you know, the big radical crap. You know, but just look at it. I mean, look at this. Swimming around at pools, you had pictures like that. Everybody was just normal, you know? It was absolutely, and that's why when you would watch shows like Let's Make a Deal, or, yeah, Let's Make a Deal, when they'd say, where you'd win a prize, you actually win a prize to Baghdad, you know? Or, you know, it's Iraq, but it's the same in Iraq too, watch. Iraq... 1970. Look, absolutely the same shit I was just talking about. Look at kids walking around, you know. Just, and then they absolutely got taken over by dictators and destroyed. And if you don't look out, that's what might happen when your voices are all silenced in the last beacon of absolute freedom. So don't allow it. See? Right there. That's Iraq, 1970. You think that doesn't look like what we looked like at that time? Hell, they look probably even more modern. Yeah, so anyways, that's what this picture is. It's showing, they're trying to make this association in this picture with this crazy sexual, ritualistic thing with okra and everything. And then people were like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, that's great. So there, everybody was interested in 2014. You see all these comments down here. They're talking about it. I'm not going to go over them. Okay. Then in 2018, killer identified in 1969 murder of Harvard student in Cambridge. For years, amateur investigators speculated about who might have... See, this is what reminds me of why we do what we do. Okay? This is why we do what we do. And then the other channels do what these people are talking about right here. Okay, a popular Harvard University graduate student found bludgeoned to death in her Cambridge apartment in 1969. See, the amateur investigators speculated about who might... Yeah, because they were looking into the red ochre, right? People sent theories to police. They gossiped about the case in internet forums. Many were convinced the killer had to be a neighbor, classmate, or someone else she knew at Harvard, because no one heard Britton scream, and her valuables were left untouched. All the theories turned out to be wrong. After conducting fresh DNA testing and analysis, Middlesex County investigators announced Tuesday they have identified the man who they believe who was Britton's killer, a serial rapist and killer named Michael Sumter, the same person we were just talking about a few minutes ago. And he died in 2001 and has since been linked to the murders of 2 other women he didn't know. Isn't that amazing? I think so. So this is one of those cool, 2018 DNA solved cases. Let's see. In 2010, investigators connected Sumter to 1972 rape and slaying of Ellen Rutchick, 23, of her Beacon Street apartment in Boston. 2 years later, authorities said DNA evidence showed he was responsible for the 1973 murder and sexual assault of Mary Lee McLean in her Beacon Hill apartment. In all three cases, investigators believe Sumter did not know the women. Sumter, who died of cancer while on parole, I'm surprised they didn't say and also on furlough, at the age of 54, was convicted of raping a stranger at her Boston apartment in 1975 and assaulting another woman he met at MBTA's Harvard Square station, just blocks from Britton's apartment, 3 years after Britton's murder. After his death, Sumter was also linked by DNA match to a 1985 rape in Boston. I mean, this guy's, there's a hell of a lot more that he wasn't found, right? I mean, Britton's killing is the oldest cold case Middlesex prosecutors have ever solved, and Ryan said there were many twists and turns along the way. I hope this is a good example for people. Not that we are going to solve every case, but we are trying to get there. It's a matter of things lining up so that we get a result. And it's amazing they solved that one after 50 years. 50 years. So there you go. That was a good story at the end. At least it was solved. But I did it the way I did it just so that, I didn't give you the answer right. You know how you do it. You got to go through it. Even though I brought up those other stories from 1973, 75, 2010, 12, 14, then boom, he's connected to. So, what did you guys think of that? I thought that was pretty interesting. It's kind of cool how you can put stuff together like that, historic, like using newspapers.com or whatever, and Google searches as well. All right. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, Stormy Ann. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading something over here. That was about the podcast, not different podcasts that I'm working on. Yeah, I'm doing another scene of the crime. This one I don't have as much input because it wasn't a story that I was familiar with, and they had all the research. I'm just part of the basically the editing portion. 3 Minute of Mystery. We're doing Allison Watterson. So I'm trying to find, I'm having a hard time finding those 3 cases that were mentioned. I think I need to make a call over there to see if they'll tell me what he's talking about. The detective that mentioned that there was 3 other cases with initials carved on the abdomen. I'm really interested in that. It'd be great to somehow get a picture of each one. Well, you put it in a folder, of course. Yeah. And that's about the only way to do it, really. But I want to see I don't know if they'd ever release something like that. Just having the info would be good enough for me. Yeah, so they said Maryland they said Maryland and I think it was, let me go back to that one. It's in the Harrell case, this article right here. I have this memorized where the hell that is. Yeah, Pennsylvania and Maryland between 69, 70, and 71. So you'd think if you went up here and you put in 1969 to 1971 and Maryland, let's say. Okay, so we got that. And then you might say something like you know, like maybe like body cut, something like that. No, that's something different. I think you need a bit like I don't think they'd say branded. They weren't branded, they were cut. Police revealed Sunday the battered nude body of an 18-year-old co-ed had been found lying face down in a ditch. The 8th young woman to die by violence in this university area in the past 2 years. She was Karen Sue Beineman. Final murder. The final murder attributed to the killer was the 18-year-old... Oh, wow. The co-ed killer. So this is actually attributed to a... well, I don't know if they ever caught... Oh, there he is. John Norman Collins. The Michigan murders was a series... Oh, wait, that was... Oh, wait, was that an AP article? Yeah, it's Michigan. It was a... You know, how you put stories sometimes in your paper even though you're... So it's a UPI article. But anyways, that turns out to be John Norman Chapman. Killed 1 to 7 people. Look how normal that guy looks. Not that you can see him, but... So, anyways, alright, so that one is solved, and it's also not Maryland, so... I was looking at that one, the plastic bag. I couldn't find any updates on it. State police today were scheduled to begin checking into several missing persons report as attempts continue to unravel the mystery surrounding the nude body of a woman found last Friday near this Somerset County town. According to police, the body was discovered by a hunter in a swampy area about 100 yards from a traveler's rest stop along US 13. It was wrapped in several plastic bags. Okay, I think that one, there was no more information. That was the same as the one above. Okay, that's the Michigan one again. Let me just do it by year. Okay, that one's somebody accused of murder. Yeah, well, it's hard to say because he had, remember that one, he dressed one individual, so they could be dressed. Let me just say, like, yeah, I mean, I think there's a million people that killed people on I-70. I mean, I wouldn't, you know what, like, there's so many murders off of I-70 that, who knows if it was one person or just a bunch of truckers doing the same thing over and over. It's hard to know. I'm just looking around for a little bit. Yeah, that's why I think I need to just get a hold of somebody and say, hey, well, what was he referring to? They might answer. Who knows? So, anyways, I think that's going to be it for me tonight. Another slow night on the... but somehow we'll get to somewhere at the end of the month where I can donate into the... You know, probably less than last month for sure at this point. Let's see. He did it because we've fallen back. We were keeping up the... It's weird. As soon as I got injured, it sort of changed everything. Let's see. Maybe I don't know what it was because I actually tried to keep doing the show, but it's weird how those couple days off just sort of... It was hard to keep up the pace. Oh yeah, you're doing magnet fishing, Kubi? Man, I can't even do... Hey, thanks, Doughty. I can't do what that person's doing right there. See with the shoulder on the left? Mine's frozen. Well, I can move my shoulder, but it doesn't go very high. But, hey, it's... Look at that. There's Carol. Look at the flowers, too. But, all right. Well, thank you to Kubi, Barbara Smith, Rochelle Black, Michelle Nicholas, Katie 2, Boggle Queen, Stace on the Case became a member, Billy Boy Blue, Lee D, Jessica Schubach, KNS, Carolina T, Allie Cake, Julie W, Fiber Sleuth, Cairo, Lauren Nelson, let's see, Marine Co, Billy Boy Blue, Lee D, Sean Beecham, and Doughty O, Caspian Horses Rock. Oh, and Sean Beecham. Thank you. I'll do that other spot that's over here. Yeah, there you go. All right. So thank you guys all for coming here and supporting the channel. And I'm going to play I'm going to do the flyby now. Go down this canyon, see what's up. Hopefully you guys thought those were interesting stories, though. Or cases from... A lot of those are still open. Like 5 of them. Good night, Max Crew. Yes, we can see you. See, why couldn't they make the Delphi bridge look like that? Cool. Now I'm gonna go get my band-aid changed and still healing that damn wound because it's, you know, that one vertebrae in the back of your neck that sticks out more than the other ones? Well, that's where the bottom part of the scar is. So how in the hell do you keep that still? You know? So anyways, that's it, everybody. Make sure that you're wearing your masks. You know what's cool? When I go out here in Oregon, there isn't a soul that doesn't have a mask on. I think you're required in this state. And that's how it should be. You know, I don't know if you can mandate something like that nationally, you know, but all the governors should be doing that. So it's kind of weird when they blame, oh, well, he should have said everybody. What do you mean? You want him to come in with troops and make people wear them? Just have every state make sure that people wear masks. That's what I think. I totally believe in it. I think masks, it just seems kind of obvious, right? Like you know, and as I've said a million times, what they need to do is, you know, next time there's a pandemic or anything like it, they should have like something like 2 billion N95 masks ready to go, and then you know, enlist the postal service to drop them off at 5 or so for every single person, and then show us how to clean them so that they'll last like a week, but rotate them around, you know. So wear one day, and most, you know, a lot of times you don't have to go out, leave your house anyway, and then you can clean them, and then you just keep using them for like 30, 45 days or something. And if everybody in the freaking country did that for 45 days, the virus would be gone. Okay? They would be gone. That's the truth. Yeah, no, basically that's what people are saying, Jenny Penny. And that's what Bill Gates is trying to say. Well, what we should have done was... The reality of it is that states can do whatever the hell they want to be doing. Okay? That's the truth. So, states can say whatever they want. The governor can make them do things, and it would work. The problem is not one president prior to, nor this president, were prepared when the pandemic hit. So when people go, oh, well, that was because, it's not Trump's fault that we weren't prepared. Whose fault it is every single president from the, early, over 100 years ago. That's where every president after that should have went, wow. And then update stuff, obviously, because 1920 masks aren't going to be that great, right? But how come, Reagan didn't do anything? How come Carter didn't do anything? How come Obama didn't do anything? How come Clinton didn't do anything? How come George Bush Sr. didn't do anything? How come there's no buildup of anything by any of these guys? Okay, because they're all like, well, we will figure it out someday. Okay? It's ridiculous. And so I think what it should be is every single person should get 5 N95 masks completely free. It only costs something, I bet you at bulk, it would probably cost the government, probably something like $3 billion. Okay? It wouldn't cost that much. So you have them all made, everybody gets them, and you wear them for 45 days straight, without exception. Nobody can go anywhere without them. And the virus would be just gone. That's what's crazy about it. It would just disappear. It would have nobody to spread to. It might still exist in some medical facility somewhere because those are people treating people. Yeah, when you say they were going to do that. Yeah, they were going to. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Oh, everybody was going to do it. Everybody was going to do everything. Yeah, sure. There was ideas that people had. Right, yeah. We get it. Anyways, I'm trying to tell you that every single president that we've ever had completely let us down in being prepared for an actual pandemic hitting the country. Oh, well, we've got these frontline people. Oh, they're out there doing... that's great. That's wonderful. Okay? That's wonderful. Okay? But there wasn't one that had everything ready to go. And does anybody really believe that? Did Obama have a bunch of ventilators stockpiled? Did he have a bunch of masks stockpiled? No, he did not. Okay? So, did George Bush prior to that? No, he did not. I mean, I just listed them all off. There was not one bit of preparedness. So that's what I hate when people try to figure out a way, how can we blame it on this guy? As if they would have done better and kept the economy rolling along at the same time. Yeah, that's what they all say, Jenny. I know that you're kind of, Right, they scrapped the plans. Yep, I'm sure it was a big plan. It was about to roll out, and they just scrapped it all. Yeah. I know you keep typing in the same thing. You've typed it in 15 times now. Yeah, masks are absolutely... they make all the difference in the world. No, God, he did not. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Yeah, it's all Trump's fault. Hey, everybody, Trump sent the ventilators to China. He sent this to there, and it's all his fault, everybody. He did everything. Yes, Trump sent all the ventilators to China because he got rid of all of ours. Yep. Oh, God. You can just tell what you're doing. You're doing the same thing. Well, that is what you're saying. You said he scrapped the plans for sending 5 masks to everybody, and that he sent the ventilators. That we sent the ventilator. Whoever it is. Okay? I'm saying it's every single president's fault, or even up to now. And I think I'm going to say that, there's a lot of stuff that Trump could have done, but he also kept the economy going where it collapsed a little bit at first, and then it's been building back up again. And that's so important because there's a lot of people that their suicide rates go way the hell up. It just is devastating for the future if your economy completely collapses. So that stuff keeps going. Okay, well, so maybe you're not saying that. I don't know who gave the ventilators to China. I don't really care. Maybe China needed them at some point and we didn't. Okay? But maybe we should have got them back from China later, right? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Max Crew. Just let us do our own thing here. Okay? We don't need your sort of interventions. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is they were going to be doing studies at the lab there on the coronavirus. Yeah, it's okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I think they should send out the masks to everybody, and should have. Okay? But also, you got to look at, like, New York completely botched the entire thing. Remember how they were saying, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, it's not going to be a damn thing. Go watch some of the stuff that the mayor of New York and Pelosi of San Francisco and all of them were saying in March. Okay? They were just ridiculous. Okay? Now they're like, oh, I told you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't say that at all. It's everybody. And Fauci, you know, everybody's hero Fauci. Go see some of his comments. All the way up into March, he's saying, yeah, we don't need to wear masks. Yeah, masks aren't really helpful. They're not helpful at all. So then, and so did the Surgeon General say the same thing. Then all of a sudden, oh, they're the greatest thing in the world. Well, which one was he supposed to follow at that point? Yeah, well, he was following what they were telling him, though. Jenny Penny. See, Fauci, I can go play it for you if you want. Fauci said, yeah, you don't need to wear masks. Everything's the same. He was saying that all the way into March, like late March. And then all of a sudden, well, it could be that if you put a face covering of any kind. Right, but Fauci's the expert, right, Jenny Penny? So, remember when people said, why doesn't Trump just follow what the experts say? Well, he did. And Fauci even said, yeah, he followed everything that we said. So he followed what that guy said, and now because it wasn't correct that they should be wearing masks, it's his fault. It's insane. Ugh. Oh, yeah. Well, he even admits it right here. Fauci says he doesn't regret telling Americans not to wear masks at the beginning of the pandemic. How come, Fauci? Every other country's been using them for a long time and they worked. Here, I gotta go find the video. Let me try to find it. Looks like it's been buried and hidden by Google search. That's hilarious. I've seen it like 1,000 times.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
Oh, okay.
You're sure?
Oh, weird. Huh. Oh, wow. Wait, I thought we were supposed to follow what this guy said.
People should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
Oh, huh. Wow, that's weird. Okay, wow. The one expert out there, the pandemic expert, he can't even say what's correct, right? And then Trump was following what he said. Well, you don't need to wear a mask, like.
When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, why don't the states require everybody in their states to wear masks? That's what the problem is. Some states don't do it. That's the only problem. Trump can't make a federal mandate that people wear masks. So it's up to all the states to force their own citizens to wear masks. Oregon, I think you have to wear a mask to go anywhere. I have not seen a soul without a mask on. Right, because presidents can't do that. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask.
Oh, yeah,
and
the
they keep
fiddling.
touching their face.
Remember that bullshit? Remember that bullshit? Yeah, you touch the mask and then you catch it like that.
Get some.
It turns out a mask is the greatest thing you can possibly wear.
Schmutz sort of staying inside there.
Of course. But when you think...
Right, Jesus, this guy. I mean, and he's the guy that everybody's supposed to be listening to. Remember, he was making it seem like you were an idiot if you wore a mask. Now, you can't do... you can't do a national one. Just every state needs to make sure their citizens wear a mask. That's it. Okay, that's all it needs. That's all you need to know. You don't need to say Trump has nothing to do with states forcing their own citizens to wear masks, and that's who needs to do it. I don't care if Trump doesn't think it's necessary or doesn't want to. Trump said a lot of dumb shit stuff during this pandemic. I'll admit it. Okay, but I think it's it sucks that so many people have died, but at the same time, a lot of people that have died have had like pretty severe comorbidities going on, and maybe the coronavirus probably obviously made it a lot worse for that person and they ended up dying, right? That's why there's such a huge number, and it seems to be affecting minorities greater because there's a lot of diabetes and other sort of heart ailments and things like that in those communities. So they got affected a lot more. Yeah, but they should, Jenny Penny. That's all I'm saying. Trump has nothing to do with that. Yeah. Yeah, well, the Democrats, the thing is in the Republican ones, they want people to be, you can be your choice in those states. I think it's dumb. I think they should have to wear masks in all states, okay? The Democrats, though, all the politicians, they want the pandemic to be as bad as possible, though. That's the truth, and they want the economy to collapse so that it'll make a great... That's why they keep saying, wow, even though the economy was the greatest economy that we've had ever, they'll say, look at our economy, man. Trump destroyed it. Really? Man, he kept it going. I mean, the stock market didn't get destroyed. It did right away, and then boom, right back up. It didn't get destroyed, and people are going back to work, okay? If you had let it, everybody just stayed in their home for 3 months, sure, the pandemic would be gone, but the economy would have been destroyed for a long, long time. So the thing is it's just this crazy trade-off sometimes, It's crazy. Yeah, well, because I like to... I'm just telling you what I think. Yeah. Well, we don't have to disagree. I'm just saying that you're not correct in this one. All the states they're the ones that decide for people to wear the masks. That's the truth. If you don't want to believe that, then that's just your own prerogative. But it comes down to states who say, hey, everybody in the state needs to wear the masks. Okay, now the Republicans, in their states, for some reason, they don't want to do it. I think it's dumb. I don't know why in those states they're not doing it. That's all I can tell you. I've told you guys 1,000 times. That's why on every show that I do, every time I do a show, I say that everybody should wear a mask, maintain your social distancing, and all that stuff. Well, you are commenting. I'm reading your comments, Jenny Penny. Yeah, I got my flu shot today. Yeah. You've been typing 1,000 miles an hour. Everything I just said is, I think it's dumb too, that the Republican states aren't using... they think it's up to you. I don't think it should be like that. I think every governor, Trump has nothing to do with it. every governor should be telling their citizens that you must wear a mask if you go into a facility or you're around a bunch of other people. Like whenever I see these, I was kind of pleased to see at the last rally that Trump had, it looked like 90% of the people had masks on. You know, but you still see those few individuals and you're like, God dang, what's that person doing? You know? And to be honest with you, the regular masks that people wear, they don't work very well. Just the regular surgical masks. They work okay for kind of keeping your coughing from spreading around. It's the N95 non-filtered mask. Because what was weird was when I was in Seattle for my surgery, I had the P95 mask that actually is better filter for yourself. It has this little filter in the front. And the thing is when you breathe out, though, it still puts out your respiration. So they won't allow you in Seattle when I was up there to have a P95 mask that completely protects you, but it doesn't protect anybody else, which is similar to, well, actually it's not similar at all. So when people wear a scarf, it doesn't protect you at all from breathing something in. It just keeps the particles from spreading around a little bit in the air. Everybody has to wear a mask to do that. But an N95, the regular one, that doesn't have the filter in the front, that's 100%. Everything you breathe in is clean, and when you breathe out, it's also clean. So that's what everybody should be wearing if you can. Like that's what everybody should have been given. Like the next time there's a pandemic, just send out N95 masks originally. You know, because at first I think they were trying to, this is what I think may have been going on originally. It's like Fauci and the Surgeon General were playing down mask use because they didn't want people to go out and hoard masks. I actually happened to buy some N95s off of Amazon in February because I was actually following the news a little bit. So I got some of those. But if everybody was out there hoarding them up, and then Amazon started charging like, God, it was like $500 for 3 of them. It was ridiculous. Okay, so they probably were nervous that the hospital workers weren't going to be getting them. So they started saying, yeah, you know, you don't need to wear them now. You don't need to wear them. You don't wear them. And then later on, when they started getting more in stock and everything, then they started saying, yeah, you know, it turns out maybe just a scarf and everything. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, well, you need to wear a mask. Yeah. Yeah. My thing is I just don't like the blame game, like trying to blame Trump for the pandemic. That's what the CNNs, the MSNBCs, and everybody try to put out there to try to sell a story, to try to gin up the base for the election. Okay? That's what the whole deal is. So I don't like having conversations like that. Now, if you're open-minded and serious about it and just want to say that, yes, all the states should tell everybody in their states to wear masks, and we weren't prepared whatsoever prior to the pandemic. We didn't even have enough ventilators, even though we gave some to China. Now we've got tens of thousands of them stored up. And the thing is the ventilators, and some, I've actually read that they've caused problems for people. They've actually been the reason that people didn't live. And some of them because people put the ventilator in incorrectly because there's so few people. You know, you need like a bunch of the, I can't remember what you call them. I don't know if the anesthesiologist puts them in or whoever puts. Yeah, I mean, I think I had to have one of those for my surgery. I didn't really feel anything in my throat though afterwards. Yeah, I don't think. Well, he didn't do it. He didn't do it perfectly, obviously, Jenny Penny. He just, that's how he talks, though. He always says, and almost every president doesn't apologize for how they do anything. You know, like, for example, the ACA, just a total joke, the Affordable Care Act. You know, Obama said a bunch of shit that was complete bullshit to everybody over and over again. And then when later on he said, oh, yeah, that was great. I don't have anything to feel bad about. And even if you said, well, when you promised people they could keep their doctor, What do you think? Well, you know, he just doesn't. Nobody does it. They're all narcissists that are presidents, right? That's how they all do it. Yes, it wasn't perfect. And what I hate the most is when he comes back every 2 seconds and says, I stopped the flights from China. Like, who gives a shit? You know? I mean, I'm glad you stopped the flights from China. You know, we've heard about it 1,000 times already. Yeah. No, I think he can do almost anything he wants to do. And have you seen all the other stuff? The peace plans that he's done? See, here's the thing is, he'll never get credit for all the great stuff that he does because people hate him so much. You know, like, you go back and listen to commentary a few years back, they would say, hey, there is no way that you'll ever have peace in the Middle East with the other. The only way the other countries will come on board is if you have peace with Palestinians. Well, it turns out that he went the other way around, and it worked. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that he does great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the thing is he'll just, yeah, that's why he keeps repeating the China thing. Yeah, because I don't think it's the only thing. He got mobilized different companies to create the ventilators quickly. He got together the vaccine, all the companies and money funded to them to get a vaccine in record time. There's a lot of good stuff that he did too. I think you're kind of leaving out a lot of stuff. You're just mad that he didn't send out the masks right away and just his personality. Yeah. Oh, okay. So now Trump has mental illness now. Ah, Jesus. Oh, God. The one person that really does have mental illness is Joe Biden. I think everybody knows that for sure. Let's just be honest. Okay? Anybody that needs a teleprompter to answer a question during a Zoom call has problems. Hey, scroll it back. Oh, yeah. Okay, here's what I'm supposed to say for this. Man, I cannot wait until they do a... I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's just sort of like egotistical type person. I understand why people don't like Trump. I don't think he has like mental, like he's not mental issues or something like that. Biden is literally cuckoo, like he's gone. Okay, literally. I hope you realize that, right? Yeah, maybe he is on the DSM-5. Maybe he's a narcissist. It's hard to say, you know? I mean, what president wasn't one other than Jimmy Carter? No, it's not a conspiracy on Biden at all. Biden has a mental issue. Are you not aware of that, or... You think Biden, I mean, Jenny Penny, you actually think Biden is the same guy that he was 4 years ago? Really clear and speaks clearly? Are you kidding me? Oh, God. Hell, I mean, if I just played videos, would that prove it to you? Or do I need to have the medical diagnosis, like go to the doctor and get it? Just watch him speak. 4 years ago, he was, same crazy Joe, but, he was clear and could think on his feet. Now he is he's senile, really close to it. Yeah, very close to it. Yeah, prove it, great. Well, how about this? Well, let's see in the debates, okay? Will that prove it to you? It's not a conspiracy. I'm actually seeing it for myself. It's not a conspiracy where you go, oh, okay. It's him going, let me just scroll it. He's just completely lost it. I'm sure he has a great chance of winning for sure. Yeah. Now, of course, what's wrong with being a Trump supporter? I'm more of a, I didn't vote for Trump the last time, though. I voted for Rubio. You know, but I don't want to, I would vote for Trump over Biden in 2 seconds. Biden is, I don't understand why he was the nominee and why he got support. You can't work at a 7-Eleven. Yeah. See, mad about Maya's one of the trolls, just waiting for something, just waiting for a comment. See, look at this idiotic comic up there. Jenny Penny, you know Gray is a Trump supporter, so why are you surprised by anything he's saying? He said it all before. Yeah, listen, I don't really care. What I'm saying is it's true. I mean, are you saying you haven't observed any of those things, Jenny Penny? Seriously? Like when you watch him, you don't see those signs that everybody else seems to kind of see? Yeah. I mean, it's just so clear. I don't know how to say it. I bet he'll be president for, if he wins, for 2 years maximum. And that's why he said yesterday, or 2 days ago, he said, in the Harris administration, and then he's like, oh, I mean, you know, the Biden it's just crazy. And then Harris said, in the Harris administration, with the president being Biden, you know, like she had to remember too. It's almost like they've already talked about it. Oh, I don't see any of those anything like that. Trump can think on his feet. You know, he might say the same thing sometimes, but you know, he does like an hour and a half long, what do you call? Like he just flies in, gives an hour and a half long, free form speech in front of people. It's amazing. Wow, you're going to vote for Obama? That's weird. How can you vote for Obama? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you should check out Biden. He's like, oh, he can just barely, just sort of.
I wanted to speak briefly that he has trouble. Look at
50 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt million people.
Here we go.
I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers.
150 million people, wow.
720 million women back in the workforce. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. What's not to like about Vermont?
Wow, you're a candidate for the United States Senate. Oh.
The beauty of it, and what a neat town. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids.
Record player? Who the hell still listens to a record player?
Just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Oh, maybe.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
How could a guy like that not remember the rest of that?
You know the thing. The thing. The thing.
Oh, pray.
You know the thing. I mean, it goes on and on. There's like hundreds of these things. Okay, it's unbelievable. It's and it's not just that. I've just seen his face. He just seems like he's a little bit out of it. You know. And yes, I'm not a doctor, everybody. So when you say prove it, prove it, prove it, it's just ludicrous. Everyone has a brain. They can see how he's talking. Watch how he spoke 5 years ago. It's totally different. He was clear, crisp, and you know, he was able to communicate. That's all I can tell you. You know the thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, Trump's had stupid words that he's thrown in there. I've seen him do it. And a lot of times when Trump's reading a teleprompter, when he makes a mistake, he knows it quickly, so pretend that he's gonna riff now. Like he'll say, let's say the words people or not people. Let's say, let's say it was like Philadelphia or something, and he'll say, and you know, and it really is that in Philadelphia we're gonna. But at least he has the ability to do that. Like he thought he knew it, right? Well, no, you don't have to. Why'd you time her out? You don't have to time somebody out. Jesus. Yeah, don't time anybody out. We're just having a conversation. Ah, shit. Fuck it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Anyways, I'm just saying, everybody, if you think that he's just as sharp as he was before, I think that was an accident there. Anyway, hey, Jenny Penny, it looks like you got timed out. I don't think that was on purpose, though. Yeah, well, it's not really just cherry picking, though. It's every single day. That's why they kind of keep him a little bit hidden in the background, and he doesn't answer questions on the fly. Yeah. So Jay, do you think? I mean, am I just being crazy or what? I mean, don't you think he does have dementia a little bit? I mean, he's really on. He's almost like where Reagan was, kind of on his last year. That's what I think. Like he was right around that time. I mean, I don't know why I have to prove it. Like, it's just look at it. And it's weird, like everybody's so defensive about it when it's just a reality. He could still win anyways. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I like Jenny Penny's comments. I mean, we don't agree, but, you know, she's a good advocate for the other side. But I saw Linda. No problem. I mean, I understand you're trying to protect stuff, but don't worry about it. I don't mind having the people being able to comment. I just don't like the when trolls show up and try to act like, you know, like they know who I am or something. Agree, honey? Oh, honey, I see. Well, it's a little bit weird when, you know, every single day he's doing Zoom calls where they actually put the answers to the just regular questions that somebody might give him over to the side, and it's up to somebody else to quickly queue up the answer, because he'll look at it and go, hey, roll that back a little bit. It's just weird. I mean, how come you can't answer just simple questions in a regular conversation because you just know it in your head? Right? See, that's the part that makes me a little bit nervous about the guy. Yeah, that's right. See, I wasn't going to do politics tonight. I was just telling you guys to wear your mask and everything. But then people interjected just during that little short segment with political statements. And I said, you know what my idea was, is that we should have fun. Oh, they did do that. And then it turned into something bigger. Okay, so I'm not taking the blame this time. I just think the next time there's a pandemic will be absolutely prepared and ready to go. I think everyone just got complacent about it. And nobody knew what the right answers were early on and even later. But then paths were chosen to get our economy back going, and it didn't fit with what the new narrative was going to be, and that became a problem. Whose wife? Oh, Matt Crew, okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, look we've got out of a bunch of wars, and with Trump, you know, he's pulling us out. He decimated ISIS. He has forged peace deals with Middle Eastern countries, with Israel. I think we're in a safer place. You know, we still have China and Russia out there, but at least there's some alliances being built out there. And he's not somebody like, I could see if the votes aren't all counted in right away, like it normally is, and you know who the winner is on election night, I could see this whole thing just being crazy. You know, people are going to get freaked out. Like if it said that Biden won, and then as the counts come in a day, you know, a week later, and it turns out it's Trump, oh my God, it'll be riots in the street. Yeah, I've always thought that, I mean, it seems like, well, the thing is, last time the polls said the same thing, where Hillary Clinton would have this huge lead, and it just didn't turn out that way. So we'll see how it goes. But I know that there's a lot of people that voted for Trump that aren't voting for him now. But maybe there's a lot of people that didn't vote for him last time that will this time, right? You see, here's the thing: is I'm a Republican. So when you say, "Oh, wow, you support Trump," well, the thing is yeah, because I'm a Republican. I wouldn't be voting for Biden, right? I mean, I'm not saying I thought, "Oh, wow, Trump's the greatest, you know, like greatest candidate that I ever would want it." Nobody said that. But all of you out there that are liberals that are listening, even if Trump was good, you wouldn't vote for him because you're a Democrat, and you would want to vote for your person to bring him in there. That's the truth. Oh, Jenny Penny got back in? Oh, well, anyways, you didn't get, well, you're not blocked. You never got blocked. What do you mean? Let me go back up and check that. Let me zoom it up there. No, you're not blocked. You were just, somebody put you on timeout accidentally, I think. But it's still there. You just had to wait 5 minutes. You're so impatient, Jenny Penny. Oh, well, you have to, well, it was 5 minutes you had to wait before you could type something. Yeah, I don't know. People say that all the time, but I don't believe it. Yeah. Because I just totally disagree with the entire platform right now on the left. Like the whole squashing of free speech. You can't have a legitimate conversation anymore about anything, because if you don't say exactly what they want to say, they'll censor you. You know, all that stuff, I'm just not into it at all. I'm not into all these different movements that are going on right now. I think they're absolutely ludicrous. All of them. You know, I understand like having police reform, but all the other crap like the NBA's doing, I think it's disgusting. I think it's, you know, you get an officer killed, or shot in the face, did they stop a game for that? No. You know, so I'm not for any of that right now. I think this country's a good country, and we have problems like everybody else. But I don't want it to be switched down. Yeah, I don't know if it was an accident or not, but oh, really? Well, it doesn't say you're blocked though, Jenny. It just says you were timed out for 5 minutes. And then now it says it just doesn't say you're blocked at all. You probably just have to sign back in again or something. I don't know. I've never had to do that. Yeah, try it again. Try to come back on with the other one. I like seeing Jenny Penny, not Jenny Jenny. Jesus. Why don't you have Jenny Genie? Put Jenny and then Geane on there. What are you talking about? JLC. This seems odd. Get blocked much? What does that mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, type a full sentence that people understand. JLC. That'd be great. You know, an actual legitimate sentence. Oh, you couldn't come back in for 3 days? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have multiple accounts, yeah. Oh, come on, Zozo. You haven't been watching for 3 years. No way. I don't think you're new, JLC. I think you're pretending to be new. Type in a full sentence. I didn't understand what you wrote up above. This seems odd. Get blocked much? Like, what are you referring to? Wow, you were just sitting around in the background, Zozo, in 2017? Wow. That's weird. I'm gonna have to go check that out. I wonder why Jenny's... Yeah, you were just timed out. That was it. I can see it up here. Oh, wait. Let me try that. Alright, there you go. How about... See if you can come back on now, Jenny. Try it again. I made you blue now. So now you can't get blocked. You're sort of like how Billy Boy Blue was. Remember how Billy Boy Blue, everybody would block him because he made the jokes? Okay, well, you can get rid of it. I just want to see if you can come back in. I'll get rid of the blue after you... See if it gets you back in. If you don't want to be one. I kind of have a weird tint on me right here. Let me see if I can... I look kind of like orange or something. Or not orange, like magenta. Oh, I know it is, the saturation. There we go. Okay, that looks more normal. That's like a normal color. Yeah, well, a minute ago I did. I just took it off. Yeah, try it again, Jenny Penny. No, I did before. No, I did. Come on. I had this, like... I could see it. Now it's more normal skin tone. I don't know why I'm still on here. I was supposed to get off like an hour ago. Huh. I wonder why that happens, because I've been on channels where I get timed out like 8 times during a show, and as soon as I'm done timed out, I can just start typing again. I'm not sure why that's happening to you, because I just looked up there. You're not blocked or anything. Well, send me a picture with Jeannie. I always call her Jeannie. Doing that. Oh. Oh, God. Well, it's okay. I don't think she was, things got, it's probably just a couple of those comments. Linda's always looking out. She's always pretty neutral in there. So I'll just say it was accidental. Even if it wasn't, she was just doing what she thought was right. Some people just do that. Who doesn't like Linda Molden Howe of the cattle mutilations? Come on. Yeah, I could have put the phone in her back pocket. You know how that happens like every show? All this complicated shit gets done, and people go, oh, I put my phone in my pocket. Really? You clicked on the 3 dots, move down here, hit this one. Yeah. Anyways, didn't you guys think those are mildly interesting stories, at least? The cases that we discussed earlier? Yeah. I'm sorry if the politics stuffs bug you too, but I didn't bring it up at the beginning. It just sort of came up at the end. So if you don't, now you can just watch the show and in pure enjoyment and turn it off at the end. Well, cool. Anyways, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Sorry if some of you get offended. Not everybody believes the same thing that you do. But I actually have rational reasons why I wouldn't vote for Biden. Okay? I really do. Like Trump, there's times I don't like Trump that much. Like I'm like, Jesus. Crap. But overall, he's done pretty good. If you really look at it rationally, not through the lens of CNN or MSNBC. Okay? But I totally get why people don't like him. They wouldn't like him even if they got a 100% vaccine out tomorrow. They wouldn't like him. Okay? And so I know that exists. So it doesn't matter what he does or anything. People aren't going to like him. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, they're never going to cut him a break. They're going to look at every single thing that he does through a lens of how can we make this look bad. They do it every single time. They spent like 2 minutes talking about those peace agreements that are absolutely historic. They don't give a shit about that at all, and they won't cover it. Trump's had meetings where he's had town halls with just black leaders, and it's on Fox News being played. You flip it over to CNN, they are not covering it because they don't want that optic out there for people to go, wow, he's having really productive conversations here. They don't want that out there. So those are the kind of things that I see that really bother me. So I'm willing to, it's not just willing to, I actually see the other stuff that isn't seen on all those channels. So and that's it's scary that the media has that kind of power at this point, that they literally are controlling every single thing that you get to see on their channels in a way that spins a certain picture of a person, and which is Trump. There is never positive news on CNN. Do you think it's possible for Trump never to have done anything positive during his entire 4 years that he's been there, or 3.5, whatever we're at now, 3.75? No. The answer is no, right? But if you watch CNN, you would think that is possible, because they've never said anything positive. I mean, if they have, it's like 1% of the coverage. And so that's where you got to look at and go, something's not quite right here. Maybe it's not quite as bad as people think. Right, you remember that? Exactly, Matt. He was everybody's favorite. He was always on with on MSNBC with that one clown and his wife. He switched parties, He was always on there. They thought he was funny and hilarious and great. As soon as he ran for president, he's an evil bastard. He's the worst person that's ever lived. Just hypocritical jackasses all around. It's not just, it's everywhere though. I'm just saying, I'm only talking about what I've observed in this 4 years. It's scary stuff. Yeah, no, exactly, Jay. That's exactly right. Unbelievable. It's freaking nuts, is what it is. He's done so much more. Like the whole VA thing, he's just totally revamped it. Way better. Yeah. I'll try, Cindy. Okay. I'm getting the hell out of here now. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening and hanging out there at the end. I'll leave the chat up for you guys to bash each other into oblivion. All right. Sounds great. But anyways, I don't care who you are, unless you're in here trashing me into oblivion. I don't care what your politics are. I still think the same of all of you. You're all part of the freak family, right? We're all at Thanksgiving dinner talking about politics and screaming at each other. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And a 2 and a 3. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a
crime dissector,
plug rejector.
I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya, wanna stretch ya
if you try and play me like an
old projector.
Crime sector, here's my nectar.
Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture.
Crime dissector,
freak connector.
Oh wait, that was collector.
I'm always gonna be a freak protector. Fool deflector, interceptor.
And I mean a little specter
with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temper for
oh, it's okay, Linda. It's okay, Linda. Thank you accidentally time somebody out.
And I'll serve it to you.
Linda Howe, as in Linda Moldenhau.
I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody. Talk to you.
Wow, that was a cool show until you started talking about politics, Gray. Everybody hates that stuff.
Yeah, Gray, what the hell's going on there?
Wait, you want me to respond to you two idiots? God, that's ridiculous.
Wait, you called us idiots? Oh, God, did you hear that? Gray called us idiots.
He really did. He made me feel bad, too.
Hey, don't feel bad. Yeah, we were talking about politics at the end. Yeah. People don't like it. People don't like it. They don't like you if you support Trump. They hate your guts. A lot of them wanted to unfriend you, but I just talk about it because I can, I guess sometimes the channel suffers because of it, but it's just one of those things where I guess I'm not really as concerned about, submining. Okay, I could have been covering Morphew for the 75,000th time tonight, but I decided to do a show on cold cases and a couple that were solved from back in the 70s, which are a hell of a lot more important right now than looking at what Morphew had for lunch, and I heard today he had cottage cheese and bacon.
What do you mean, cottage cheese and bacon? That's absolutely crazy. How do you know they had cottage cheese and bacon?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mary Lou. How in the hell would they know that?
Well, they took his crap out of the toilet, put it under a microscope, and were able to discern that he had eaten cottage cheese and bacon bits. And I think they were actually those small bacon bits that you can buy at the store.
Wow, that's incredible technology. I'm going to start watching shows on that too.
Well, that's great. Yay, I can't wait to watch those awesome. Hey, let's go watch some now. Let's go watch some now. Okay, John Boy. Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Lou. Let's get out of here.
Wow, so the only time that those two suckers ever got along was to go watch more shows on the Morphew case. Are you kidding me? My God. That is ridiculous. Anyways, all right, everybody. You guys all be safe out there. Bacon bits and cottage cheese.